Welcome to Out It Continues, episode 138, a weekly podcast posted up every Monday on outitcontinues.com as an MP3, and we talk about video games and related topics. It also goes up on youtube.com/outitcontinues whenever. Today is Thursday, July the 3rd, so if you're watching this on YouTube, it's not live, but close enough.
Kind of close.
Kind of close.
And probably not July 3rd.
But if you're listening to this on outitcontinues.com, then it is Monday. So anyways, with me this week, before I get to that, Out It Continues is a member of the Tech Podcast Network at techpodcast.com. I'm your host, Staffa Son.
What up, Staffa Son?
Staffa Son.
Staffa Son.
Can I call you Mr. Sun?
No.
Aw.
No. So anyways, with me this week, I got Cody.
What it do? I'm playing Soccer Stars right now.
Stop playing Soccer Stars.
I got one more goal to go and I win.
No. United States lost.
Yeah, we can't care about soccer anymore.
Yeah.
Tim
Lost.
Howard is our new Secretary of Defense, by the way.
The third voice you're hearing, or the third person you're viewing, is Adrian.
Hello. I've been here before.
Yes. So, anyways, this episode's segments will include what have we been playing. After that, we got some quick announcements. The main topic will be about morality in games. After that, we got some news and listener feedback. After that, we actually got a listener writing in to the show.
Awesome.
Yes.
Look at you guys paying attention and taking care.
Yes, that's because I told her to write in.
You threatened her.
You need to write us a
Don't
letter
write
to
in.
answer.
She was basically chatting with me, giving her feedback about last week's episode. I was like, you know what? You should write an email so I can read it. She did it.
On air.
Yes. So, anyways, let's get on with what have you been playing? Since you haven't been on the show in a while, Adrian, you want to go first?
What have I been? I've been playing WildStar.
WildStar.
WildStar all day, every day. It's
WildStar.
amazing.
All day, every day. I don't think that's true.
Actually, it's kind of sad how true it is.
Don't you also have work?
Well, yeah, but that's
So,
like
are you playing at work?
there's like sleep, work, and WildStar. Food happens in between those.
You mean it happens during those?
It also
Yeah.
well, I can't eat while I
During.
sleep. If I could eat while I sleep, I would change the world.
Well,
But yeah, it came out a month ago today, and I've just been hammering away at trying to get to 50 so I can do the end game rating, and it is a phenomenal game from the ground up. They have done a truly incredible job taking like the last 10, 15 years worth of MMO mechanics and kind of condensing them down to the best of the best and putting them into this game. So it's got some potential to stick around for a while.
yeah. I mean, I've never been like a very big MMO person. You know, when people start discussing like, you know, big ones like EVE Online or World of Warcraft and stuff, I can just see myself slowly nodding off. But like, I saw some gameplay, read the story and the background of WildStar, and it's done nothing but impress me. I'm still waiting to have enough money to get a subscription and to start actually playing. But yeah, it's the only MMO out there that has ever gotten me excited for like MMO style games and stuff. I mean, because World of Warcraft, I mean, it is just if it's that boring just to watch, I can only imagine playing. Being just slightly less boring, but still enough to where like I'm spending $30 a month for basically, you know, Microsoft Excel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm kind of with you as far as like not caring about MMOs, but like as far as the excitement around the game, I mean, I haven't really paid attention to gameplay footage or anything because I just don't care about MMOs. But like when I hear all the excitement, I kind of feel like I've heard all this before because, you know, like people got really excited for Rift, people got really excited for Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy 14, Elder Scrolls Online, and, you know, now WildStar. And you know, like they get really excited, and then it's like, I'll give it a month, and then like after a month it goes away. WildStar though has been a month by now, like
It's been a month today.
Yeah, a month today. So I don't know. Oh, we'll see if people keep talking about it in the months on in, but
Well,
I feel like I've heard the excitement before.
the thing that's different about WildStar, though, is that all of those other MMOs that you listed, every single one of them all features the same type of gameplay, where you choose your enemy, you stand still, you press 1 through 9, you fire your ability off, you then move down your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You don't actually do anything.
Mm-hmm.
In WildStar, the combat is dynamic and living. So when you're moving around, you have to move around to fight things, or you will just die.
Mm-hmm.
You can't stand there and just soak up all the hits anymore. Like that whole style of gameplay you can't do because you will just not survive past level 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got a telegraph system in it that works really well and fluid. And I haven't been able to play it, but just from like watching people play it and maneuver it and stuff, it really because that was the whole thing with me with any MMO was that it's just a click, and then run down through some abilities, and it's all about just keeping your numbers there. But now that you actually add in a bit of that, dynamic, gotta move, gotta shoot kind of gameplay and stuff, it's setting itself apart from your basic MMO, and that's what really pulled me out here. I was like, wow, this looks like it's a game and not just spreadsheets and click and point. And it's like, I mean, I haven't gotten into very much of the lore. I haven't gotten to how like the the quests are and stuff. And I mean, we could probably devote an entire episode to it.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I think one of the bigger problems too is like how they compare. When a new MMO comes out, they always compare it to WoW. They're like, is this the WoW killer? Is this going to be the WoW killer? Well, we got to stop thinking of it like that. WoW is always going to have its base and stuff, but you can't always supersede and connect those. And that's where all those other MMOs kind of fail, because they're like, well, what we should do is make WoW, but we're going to make it better, and it's got a different story, blah, 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 and it's going to kill WoW. And then what happens? People are not going, it's like, okay, this is essentially WoW, but I've already got a WoW subscription, so I might as well just not worry about it. This one, it sets itself apart. It's not going to kill WoW. It's not going to do that. But what it's going to do is it's going to offer a completely new experience, and I think it has, because like for me, if a game just like WoW or something came out, it won't even be on my radar. I won't even take time to look at it online because I know those types of games and they're just not fun to me. But to this one, to WildStar, all of a sudden it seems more dynamic. It takes a little bit more skill and strategy and play and stuff. So it's definitely up there with it. For the month that I've seen, all I've heard is like absolute positive stuff, and out of usually the first month. Usually we get those, people are ranting and raving about like what needs to be fixed, and I haven't heard very much of that. So I'm excited for it, and I'm willing to pay for it.
When you talk about the dynamic gameplay, it makes me think about well, there's two MMOs that I played a little bit of. Well, it's like the most I've played of any MMOs, and they were Champions Online and DC Universe Online, because I like superheroes. And in Champions, like, it was basically what you're saying about, aim at creature, then click 1 through 9, and it's basically dice
pretty
rolls.
basic, yeah.
Yeah, and then in DC Universe Online, it feels more like an action game, like a beat 'em up, because it was more dynamic, and you have to actually position yourself, and you can actually dodge attacks and stuff like that. In Champions, if a monster were attacking me and I used my super speed to like run all the way across the city, there's a chance that I'm still gonna get hit. Just because of the dice roll.
Yeah.
And but I still didn't play much of DC Universe just because like I was really upset of like how like Champions was a very detailed character creator, and that's what I really liked about that game, because I like superheroes, like making my own. It's like I can make just about any superhero I want. make them look however I want, name them whatever I want. In DC universe, it's not as detailed, and not only that, but you can't name them whatever you want. If a name is taken by somebody else, you can't use that name.
Yeah.
So if I want to do, Mr. Staffa the Great, and it's already taken, I got to come up with.
I can never see how Staffa the Great would ever be, because I don't think there's anyone with a bigger ego than you. There's another Stop out there. It's like his doppelganger out there. I am Staffa the Great.
You didn't see him at PopCon? He had the eye patch and the goatee going.
Yeah, evil Staffa. Come on now.
Evil Staffa is out there. Beware.
Well, if you guys do end up picking up WildStar and hopping on there, get on Rosedower. It's a PvP server, and we'll meet up. We'll go to town. Get on Exile side so I don't have to kill you.
All right, so Cody, what have you been playing other than that soccer game that you were playing?
Soccer Stars. No.
Soccer Stars is legit.
It's actually kind of fun. Tell you the truth, it's just it's a free kind of I don't know. It reminds me of more like shuffleboard a little bit. You have like these little pogs that you have, and you simple touch controls. You pull back for how much strength you have in a shot.
That's not soccer then, man.
Well, it is, because there's a soccer ball. There's a soccer ball.
Making
technically.
stuff up.
I don't know. It's cute. It's a good way to waste a couple minutes if you're on
football.
the toilet or something. It's football because football. But man, I have been playing so much lately. I don't know. Been playing the Brutal Doom mod, Insurgency, Deadlight.
Tell me about Insurgency.
Insurgency?
Yeah, because I saw that on the Steam store.
Oh, Steam sale?
Yeah.
Actually, okay, yeah.
So tell me about Insurgency.
I've been meaning to say this. Insurgency.
Does it take place in Iraq?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, actually, no. There's a handful of places that are mostly, because they don't specifically say, but it is based off.
So
of
fictional Middle East country.
Yeah, fictional Middle East country, kind of. But I would say that it has some of the levels kind of look like the Korengal Valley, like the tall mountains with the kind of the ridge line and the tree lines of like Afghanistan, whereas in some of the closer set places are looks a little bit more like how the Iraqi like just building and city structure is set up. But it takes the better parts of like Red Orchestra and what is it? Counter-Strike.
So there were good parts of Red Orchestra. Is that what you're trying to say?
There's a few good things. There was a few good things about Red Orchestra.
I'm just messing.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Red Orchestra was kind of it was a cluster of bad.
It's a brutal game.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Like, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, the weapon physics were great. Other than that, the game was, and well, it also takes a little bit from the capture system from that one. But yeah, of course, it's your typical just like Counter-Strike. You have you're not officially considered like an American force. You're security. You're a private military company.
You're Blackwater.
Yeah, like Blackwater or something like that. Private military company versus insurgents.
Okay.
And there's a handful.
So it's Blackwater versus Al Qaeda.
Yeah, no, cause I guess they got.
Stopper's just like,
really
what's
PC?
Here?
We're gonna get really political here, but no, I mean, yeah, granted, I mean, actually, it was going to be a little bit of the thing that I was going to discuss in morality in gaming was actually some of the issues that you come up in here. But as far as gameplay is considered, it's actually one of the more well-structured, like online first-person shooter kind of style team-based games, because weapons do like real damage. Even with like body armor setups, you're gonna maybe able to flinch off 1 or 2 rounds. So it actually really forces, team help and stuff. It's now with a Steam sale, it was actually really cheap on Steam. I think they were only selling it for like $6. That's why I picked it up. So,
Is it still in early access?
no, I think it's full on now.
Okay.
Which it has a nice little variety of maps. A lot of the map styles too just take place on different days of the time. So like there's a map called I think it's just called Conflict, but there's another map which is the name of the town. I think it's called like Sinjar or something like that, and it's the same map, but it's just in different times of the day. And some of the rooms and some of the buildings are closed off, and there's a few different obstacles there. But mostly the same map setup is set up the same way, and the position of all of the points that you have to capture or the caches you have to blow up are changed around a little bit. So it's the same map kind of, but they switched it a little bit around. I can understand it. It still adds a little bit difference to it because, of course, you're playing at night and it's harder to see, your enemy on the other side. But like I said, yeah, the community, it's all server-based and stuff. It goes back to, not just that random, hey, find a server kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the community has been actually one of the best that I've played with. Of course, you're going to get some trolls. Of course, you're going to get some, yahoos on there that really, can pull away from the experience. But I found a handful of servers that I favorited that every time I go on there, it's just real nice, hey guys, good game, or real trying to work together kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I need a support class with me right now. We're taking over C. Just cover down this area or something like that. So it really gets you thinking about like, what class you are, and then how to work with the community and stuff. And just from this game alone, I've made like 6 Steam friends, like official Steam friends or something like that. I mean, we haven't gone as far as like go and get coffee and have a day in the park or anything like that. But I mean,
you didn't?
No,
Then they're not real Steam friends.
Yeah, they're not Steam friends if you don't go frolic in the forest with them. But
I want a date.
Internet friends.
Yeah. But the community, like I said, the community has been, for me, more good than bad.
Yeah, that's definitely good because a community can make or break a game. Like if a game has nothing but like a bunch of trolls on there, then that can easily kill the game off before it even builds a good community.
Absolutely. And then there's one server that I'm on. If you ever get it, look it up. It's called the True Grit server, something like that. I can't remember the full thing, but I guess it's a clan, the True Grit clan, and they have a website and everything, but they have an open server for like recruiting or anything. And I play the game off and on and stuff like that, just kind of like hey, I want to jump into a couple matches and just get my fix with this kind of thing. And but they have like a really nice rule set. It's like, look, this is a family-friendly place. Now, they don't mind, like, profanity a little bit because the actual in-game text and stuff, they'll actually throw out, some profanity and stuff like that. But, I mean, like, excessive, just, like, tearing down onto somebody, calling people names, you're banned, you're gone.
Yeah,
they'll kick you out quick.
Like, when I was playing a lot of TF2, I was with the FUG community, FUG.
Yeah.
And, like, they, like smack talk is fine, but like once you start using words that are like
racist or
racist or just offensive, derogatory terms, then you'll get a warning, and if you keep doing it, you'll eventually get banned.
Yeah, and they really didn't, because all the servers they have a little bit more, I don't know, each server that you go into are kind of structured a little bit. The reason I love the True Grit one is that, in most first-person shooters and stuff, when you hit somebody, even nowadays, you'll get that little X reticule that let you know that you hit them.
Mm.
And this one, it's a little bit harder because you'll never know if you actually truly killed somebody unless you can actually see and confirm the kill. So
Yeah.
it actually, it brings a little bit more strategy. Hey, I just shot, a bunch of rounds down range at this guy, and I might have hit him. I don't know. Do I advance forward?
Yeah,
and
a lot
run
of
right
games
into
these
an
days,
ambush and
you'll
stuff?
get like either some kind of a ping or some kind of a sound whenever, or like a visual cue
Yeah.
when you kill somebody, and then also of course it'll show in the chat.
Yeah. This one actually, the cool one is that it's only when you are killed
Hmm.
that it'll give you who killed you,
Mm.
and then from the distance in which they killed you, and usually that's determined in meters. And also when you die, that there's like this little side box
Mhm.
that brings up a list of all the people you've killed and all the people who have killed you.
Mhm.
List of attackers. Actually, no, it's just attackers and then victims, technically. People that you shot at and stuff. It's either you've wounded or you've killed. And they'll keep a running total of like how many hits you got on them, if they were killed, who hit you, and how many hits and where they shot you and stuff like that. So it's nice to have that little data on the side. So it keeps a running total of how many kills you've got, because even if you go into like the player menu where it shows who's on sides,
Mhm.
they don't even show that.
Mm.
The matches, they rely a lot more on teamwork as well, because the game is set up in like waves. You'll have waves of people that come out, so it's not just like a continual respawn or something like that.
Waves.
Wave. Yeah. But it's really so. You get to respawn.
For the listeners that aren't watching, Adrian just face palmed because we were actually waving.
I might have needed 2 hands for it.
But so in a typical, there's I think it's called, it's not the skirmish one, it's the dumbed down one. So each team are fighting to control 3 positions.
Yeah.
Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, basically.
Mhm.
One team will start off owning
Charlie
Alpha.
is a chump. I hate
Charlie's
him.
a chump, I know.
Yeah.
And then one team will end up owning Charlie the chump, and then Bravo is like the center one. That's the neutral one that people gain control of. And what happens is that if you get killed, you're out until your team is able to capture another area. So if, Bravo is being captured and you were killed, you go into spectator mode, so you can watch other people, but you can't communicate with them. It's I call it spirit miking, so that you can talk to other spirits, people who have died, but you can't directly talk to. So you can't be like, hey, look to your left, look to your right, get that advantage and stuff. So once they capture an area, all the people who have died.
But people,
respawn.
I mean, like if people were playing with like Skype or Ventrilo or Mumble, whatever, they can.
There's always a way to cheat.
Yeah,
stuff.
there's always a way to get around that, but
that takes all the fun out of it.
Yeah, but the weapons in the game are pretty cool. So how it started off is that you got two main sections of character of like team placement. For just security purposes, for the security force, you have assault team and recon, and each one of those teams, it's kind of more or less just it's the color mapping of your marker. You get this little diamond that hovers over your character, and that's another thing too. Friendly fire can make and break a level. Friendly fire's on, and you have to be real careful, and you have to communicate with people. Be like, hey, look, I'm about to run out into the street. If anybody's holding this, hold your fire. Sometimes I've done that before. I've run into like a place without telling them, hey, I'm coming in, and then the first thing I do, I step in there and someone shoots me, and it's my own guy, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. But Yeah, each one of those teams gets a marker. Like it's kind of like this green and blue, and it's just to say which side team are you on. And each one of those has like different classes.
Mhm.
You know, you'll have a marksman, and you'll have a sniper, and then you'll have a support class, and then you'll have a rifleman, specialist, and then demolitions guy and stuff like that. And then in each one of those two sections has a leader too. Like we'll have a squad leader. And those squad leaders can do a few other things. I think the squad leaders can actually give orders to which one to go to, just in game. Usually they'll just use the mic. You know, they'll say, "Hey, everybody, let's rush A, or let's rush B," and stuff like that. But it gives the option of, if they don't have a mic and they're the lead, to manually say, select A and be like, it'll say attack A, or attack B, or something like that. So, all the weapons are different depending on which class you are, and you use supply points to modify your weapons and your loadout. So if you want to have like lots of armor and lots of ammo, you're not going to be able to have a lot of cool stuff on your weapon. Same thing with if you want like the best weapon, where you got like a heavy barrel and some nice optics and a foregrip on your gun or something like that. You're not going to be able to get like all the superficial stuff, like more grenades and armor and ammo and stuff like that. So it's kind of balancing out which one you want. And then the more stuff you have too also adds onto your weight, the weight of your character, so you run a little bit slower.
Oh, you call me fat?
No, I'm not calling you fat, Staffa.
Because I am.
Not directly.
You're husky. How about that? You're husky.
It's power.
It's power. It's just stored power. Staffa power.
Now you're just telling stories.
But yeah, I'm actually like I said, I'm really glad that I picked it up on the Steam sale, because like I said, with how most first-person shooter communities are out there, they're almost to the point of just over toxic.
Yeah.
And this one, like I said, it's got its bad eggs every once in a while, and it's got a nice little level of smack talk, but there's not a lot of direct contact with the opposite team. So it's mostly in-house, where you're going to get a lot of the problems with people. But like I said, I have found and favorited a handful of servers that I know that have like strict policies on that, because when I get on these games, I really don't want to. I just don't want to
put up with dumb people.
Yeah, I don't want to incite that kind of stuff. I just want to play.
Yeah, you just want to have fun.
And communication through strategy is through play with this game, and and you find that teams that really do a good job of just saying, hey, we got a couple guys at A, or hey, we need to cover this, or hey, we did, just basic simple tactics and communication.
Let's pull these noobs on B.
Yeah. I was telling Adrian this before we actually set up, but last night I got into a server, and I was a support class, which is, you get the light machine gun. I had the SAW light machine gun, 125 rounds in a drum magazine. And he had just like a regular M4. And we had this last place. And I was on a server that they changed up the rules a little bit. Usually you get like a 3-minute time slot to do missions, but they had bumped it up to like 15 minutes. 15 minutes between grabbing each one of the spots. We were down to our last place, and it was a rush mode. So we had fewer waves than the defending team, and we're trying to hold off this one last spot. And it was just me and this other guy, and we found like a corner section where we were covering down like 2 little lanes.
Yeah.
Me and him combined killed 25 guys, just talking back and forth to each other, and we're Steam friends already, because it was one of the most impressive
things. So you guys 300'd it.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the Battle of Thermopylae, like that. It was just 2. Next coming from Frank Miller.
It was Army of 2.
Yeah, but
I You got the fist bump and everything.
we
Man.
found the perfect like defense place, just where the areas we were covering. You know, I laid on the ground and I had my light machine gun, you know, mounted on a bipod. So anything that was coming through this little area that I can scan, I could just shoot them and blow them away. And it was on like a little incline on the other side, so they couldn't get the range to throw grenades into the place unless they got all the way up on top of this little incline, which I was covering. Anybody that came up on that incline got wasted by me. And him, I wasn't sure about what he was doing, but I mean, he was controlling a smaller area because he had a shorter weapon, but he, you know, we just talked back and forth. I'd be like, you know, the same thing with, and that's another cool thing too, is in game when you do things like throw grenades and stuff, your character itself will announce, you know, hey, throwing out frag, or hey, you know, reloading or something like that.
Tying my shoes.
Yeah, so even if you don't communicate through your mic, they will still be able to hear it, and it also has proximity effect. So even with mics too. So if you communicate with somebody all the way on the other side of the mic, your mic gets really dim, really soft. But if you're really close, it's up forward. So since we were close together and, you know, we just kept that communication, we killed off 25 guys. The closest I came to, like, oh man, we were done for, was an RPG came like through the hallway and like way over my head. It blasted behind us, and we took like a little bit of splash damage, but we were still alive. Unfortunately, what happened was that after those 25, they just pinned us in there. So they were like, okay, instead of going out there, because we had to get onto the other side of them to win the match.
Yeah.
You know, because we're the attackers. They just time killed us, because we were like, okay, let's try to move. And as soon as we try to move, they were just, shoot them, shoot all the bullets, just shoot them all.
So they suppressed you in there.
Yeah, they just hold us in there. But I mean, it was a really neat, fun experience that, you know, it comes very, very, because you're never gonna have some kind of like, just because this guy that I was playing with, you know, that was the first time I ever met him. We didn't like have, you know, several matches where we're already. He was alive, I was alive. We found each other, and then I was like, "Hey man, we should just chill here and guard this place." And he's like, "All right, I'm covering the left, you cover the right." And I'm like, "Okay." And as soon as we did that, you know, they just kept spawning waves at us, and, you know, just taking them out. But
it's like a wartime love story.
yeah, it was really neat. And it was another thing too, was that at the end of the game, when we lost, the enemy guys, all of them were like, you know, they were impressed, you know, and they said it, you know, they didn't, oh, you guys are campers, blah blah blah. They were like, good job, guys, that was pretty awesome, you know. So yeah, Insurgency, the Steam sale's over, so I think it's right at around like $15 now.
Man, that's gas money right there.
Yeah, it's gas money, but I mean, if you're really looking for a nice community first-person shooter kind of place that, you know, and matches usually don't take very long. You know, you can play a full set of matches within, you know, 15 minutes. 15 minutes at most. And it's just, of course, it depends on the game mode that you choose, but you know, the game feels good, it responds well. You know, I haven't had very much complaint as far as like ping issues or lag issues with some places, you know, and there's just a bunch of different servers. So you know, if I did get into a toxic situation with some people, which I have, you know, I've had some really bad trolls on there. So I was just like, you know what, screw this, I'm done. I got to get out of this one. That I just found another one. Like I said, I've got like 5 or 6 on my favorites that, you know, those are my first go-to now, because those are, you know, they have really nice strict rules as far as like, you know, profanity. And I mean, sometimes they can be a little harsh on there, you know, like, because we're all guys, we're playing war and stuff, you know. So
how you know they're all guys? There's no ladies?
Oh,
That's racist.
I ran into two, two women, and one of them was on the opposite side, and she had killed me like 4 times.
See,
4 times.
There you go. You lied
Yeah.
to me. You said all guys.
I would love to hear a woman go on this like incredibly vulgar rant while she's playing a first-person shooter, just to tip the scales back the other direction. It's like, listen here, you. Just go off on him.
It would have been hilarious. But yeah, Insurgency. If you're looking for that good community first-person shooter and stuff like that, stop looking at Call of Duty and Battlefield. Try it out. Check it out because it's, like I said, I'm very impressed with it.
Awesome. I guess I'll talk about what I have been playing. I played a little bit of Battle Block Theater.
Battle Block Theater.
That's made by The Behemoth. For listeners who are not familiar with Behemoth or unsure if they heard of them or not, their first game was Alien Hominid, which was on Newgrounds, and then it came on to PS2 and GameCube, and then eventually onto Xbox 360 Live Arcade.
I love those games.
They should put that on Steam though. That Alien Hominid is good.
Yeah.
And
Can you still play it for free on Newgrounds?
yeah, but like
Then why
that's,
put it on Steam?
but that was like a different version of the game.
Oh,
It's not the
Yeah,
same.
that one's the
OG.
Yeah.
yeah, it's the OG of the games, and I think the PlayStation 2 they
It's
had
so much better.
Yeah.
Better graphics at co-op, a lot of unlockable heads, and then they made Castle Crashers, came out on 360, and then eventually on Steam.
Castle Crash.
Like Alien Hominid was like pretty much like Metal Slug. Castle Crashers, it's like I guess like Golden Axe or that Capcom game. I can't remember what it was called. It's like Knights of the Round Table.
Knights of the Round.
Yeah.
Knights of the Round was such a good game too.
It's pretty much like an updated version of Knights of the Round. Pretty fun game because I mean, unlike Golden Axe, where just straight hack and slash, Knights of the Round and Castle Crashers, you actually upgrade your character and unlock things. So that was really cool. And then Battle Block Theater is basically, I mean, the closest thing I can think of to compare it to would be like Little Big Planet, or Trine in a way, also because like I'm playing a co-op with a friend and we help each other out with a lot of the puzzles because you can throw your partner and like once you get to a higher ledge, you can go to the edge of the ledge and like kind of put your hand out and pull them up. And there's a lot of teamwork in the game. There's like user-made maps. Map creator mode. You unlock heads in that game. Like Alien Hominid and Castle Crashers. Well, Castle Crashers you unlock characters, not heads. Just a lot of unlockables. It's really funny. The humor is pretty good. There's a British narrator, just going on talking about like if you goof up, he'll say things and make fun of you and.
What was that? You need to fix that.
I mean, like overall, it's a really fun game. I got it for like $3 something cents during the Steam sale. It was just definitely worth the money. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun with it, especially since it's a co-op game. I can't really see it being that fun for players because 2 players, I think it's fine because we're working together. I think if it was 4 players, it would be a little too chaotic. Even 3 players. I haven't played it 1 player yet, and I'm assuming if I play it by myself, there'd be many parts of the maps where I'd be unable to reach because you need to have a partner to like throw you up here and do certain things. But overall, I'm having a lot of fun with the game. I'm really liking it because there's a lot of variety to it. There's unlockable weapons. You basically collect gems and these golden yarn balls because there's a lot of cats in the game. And when you collect 5 golden yarn balls, you give it to like these cats that are guarding this weapons vault, and they'll they'll sneak you a weapon, and the gems are used to unlock prisoners, which are basically the other heads. You're freeing these other characters, so I mean it's basically a head swap. But I mean, really humorous game, really fun game, a lot of variety to the gameplay. I think this game is probably the Behemoth's best game so far because there is a lot of variety in the gameplay. In Alien Hominid and Castle Crashers, the gameplay can get old after a while because it doesn't change up. It's the same thing over and over. I mean, Alien Hominid, you're just shooting a bunch of things. Castle Crashers, a lot of hack and slash. And this, it's constantly changing. It's platforming the whole time, but like they're introducing new elements to the platforming. Like, okay, this level has exploding blocks. This level has this slime that slows you down. They're introducing new things constantly that change things up, and that's why I think this is their best game so far. Because like I've yet to like stop playing the game and be like, man, this feels very monotonous, or the only reason why I stop is because like I'm kind of I need to take a break. Have you guys played Battle Block Theater?
I have not.
No, I have not, but I am very familiar with their games and stuff, like Alien Hominid, like way back in the day when I was young. When it came onto Newgrounds for the first time, I remember playing that for hours on end. It was fun, and then when I heard it came to PlayStation 2, I played it forever. And then Castle Crashers, unfortunately, I had at the time I had a bunch of friends that had it on 360, and of course I had it on PlayStation 3, so I couldn't play with anybody else. But I mean, even like grinding through that first player, or just like one player, felt
so good.
It was fun. It was great and stuff. So
you actually feel like you're getting better at the game because you're memorizing the patterns, and it's like, oh, I finally got this level without dying once.
Oh, and Red character was so broken in Castle Crashers. Everyone's like, I like the poison, I like the ice, the fireballs. Like, no, it's all about the electricity, dude, because he can just stand there and just annihilate things.
But yeah, man, I'll have to give this one a look because it sounds really neat.
Now, are there like sections of the map that you can only get to if you have 3 or 4 people, or can everything be accessed as long as you have 2?
So far, I've been playing just 2-player, and most of the maps we've been clearing out just the 100%ing it. If we don't 100% it, it's because we overlooked something, and we just missed something. But for the most part, we're trying to 100% every level we're going through. We're not replaying levels if we miss stuff, because like, okay, we'll just keep going. We just missed one gem. Don't want to like spend another 5 minutes or so just for that one gem.
Yeah.
But it seems like you can get everything with 2 players.
Not gonna 100% it before you can move on. That killed me in Lego Batman, where the Penguins level where you have to do the slide and you have to get I think it's like a silver brick or something that's on the way down, and I would miss it every time. You couldn't restart it till you got to the very bottom and restart the level back up to the top.
I used to try to like 100% everything when I don't know.
Before we had jobs.
Yeah.
And, adult responsibilities.
But now it's like I just want to like have fun and finish the game. It's not that I'm gonna like try to rush through the levels, because you can most levels you can clear just by getting like 3 gems, and that's it. But I'd rather get like all 5 or 6, or however many gems there are, get as many as possible, because the more gems you get, the more heads you can unlock, and a lot of them are just really goofy, and it's always fun getting another just incredibly silly looking head. So
it's all about those percentage numbers.
Yeah.
That's how you know you've completed the game.
Yeah, I do that too nowadays. It's like I try my best to do so,
Mhm.
but usually my first run through is just to run through the game. It's just to listen to it, to experience it, to get the story, to get the gameplay, get everything like that. If I'm super impressed with the game, boom, I'm going back and 100%ing it. I just that achievement on top that I can get. If I can platinum it or whatever, or just get those higher achievements and stuff. Like if a game super impresses me, like the Metal Gear series. There's not a Metal Gear game that I haven't played or beat till
Metal Gear.
yeah. I've actually no, it's Ground Zeroes is the only one that I haven't 100%ed right now because my PlayStation's kind of in the dumps. But as soon as I get that back and running, I'll have that 100%ed pretty soon.
Ground Zeroes. Anyways, let's move on.
Let's do that.
Let's talk about DreamHost real quick.
We're going to talk about DreamHost?
Yes,
DreamHost.
DreamHost.
Stop it. What is DreamHost?
Yeah.
DreamHost is a web service. They offer unlimited storage, unlimited bandwidth, user-friendly interface. They are also optimized to use content managers such as WordPress, very popular one. They also have other content managers such as Content5, lesser known, but still can get the job done if you want to make a portfolio or something like that. And many more features. All that just for $8.95 US. So it's not even $9 US a month.
You blew my mind.
Yes. And it gets even better. If you use the promo code OUTOFCONTINUES, that's one word, no spaces, just OUTOFCONTINUES, it will waive the setup fee and get you a free domain registration.
What are you doing? What are you doing right now?
He's trying to get us to set up some websites.
You can't afford not to use this.
You guys are
can't do
you
it.
guys
You're
gonna be
just-
looking for professional jobs in the industry soon. So
Yeah.
get your portfolio done with DreamHost.
Time to get
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
Make yourself
Look,
known.
look at it this way. Take out a $20 bill from your wallet and burn it. That's what you're doing every second that you're not on DreamHost.
Exactly. You're
Let's just get
losing
my wallet
money.
out right now. You got a lighter?
So anyways, let's move on. One quick announcement. Basically, the show can use some more iTunes reviews. So if you're using iTunes, please leave a review. Doesn't have to be 5-star. I mean, if it is 5-star, that'd be great. But be honest. A podcast with low review scores gets more hits on iTunes than a podcast with no review scores.
Yeah.
So, leave a review score. It would definitely help out the show. It's one of the single most helpful things you can do to help out the show.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have iTunes or don't want to sign up for iTunes, share the podcast on Facebook or Twitter. That can also really help out the show as well. Tell a friend.
Definitely. I mean, here's an example of an iTunes review. You can do 4.5 stars and be like the show. I think Cody's really hot. Send. That's done. Boom. That's an iTunes review.
That sounds like my review.
You did it.
Yeah.
That says more about you than I really wanted to know, but okay.
He just does it all day.
That was like verbatim. He's like, wow, that's like exactly what I wrote.
It's because I care.
And because he knows.
Yeah. So anyways, let's talk about our main topic,
Which is
morality systems.
morality.
Morality, because
systems,
well,
morality.
not just morality systems, just morality in general in games, because there's a lot of moral choices in games, whether it's gameplay, whether it's story, or whether it's the character themselves making a moral choice. We could talk about all these things.
There are a ton of games that
there's
fall into this
there's
category.
a lot of things to talk about as far as morality. So, the first thing I got on here and on my notes is like morality systems and story, because you can have a moral choice that's not exactly part of the gameplay, not exactly something that the character chose themselves, but like something that, like for example, have you guys played Mass Effect, like the first one?
I played the first one.
Yeah.
Like at the very end of the game, they basically say, "Hey, do you want to save the council or save the people?" That was not gameplay. That was basically saying, "Hey, do you want A or B? What do you want to do?"
Mhm.
You know, it's a story decision, and you know that's I see that a lot in games now, and I don't really think that is like the best way to have morality in a game.
Yeah, it's a little too black and white. You know,
Yeah.
it's showing that there's not an alternative solution to a lot of problems.
Mhm.
You know, I can understand that. You know, the topics in Mass Effect and stuff can be pretty heavy. You know, it's like life or death kind of situations and stuff, and
I
you know,
choose death.
where yeah, but it kind of pigeonholes a lot of the group
Mhm.
and stuff, and it all comes down to just saying what type of run I'm going to have, and it's you know it doesn't reward people for being situational.
Yeah, I mean,
And I
like,
think that's something that you know I couldn't even like grasp my head around, you know, like fully making, but like I'll notice that, you know, just depending on the situation. Now if you're trying to go through a full renegade of the game,
Mhm.
it's, you know, not only do you have to be like, here's like a slumlord, and you got to be like, nope, I'm not going to let you live and take him out. You know, it's kind of like street justice and something. But then in the next vein, some cute little kid, you have to like kick him in the face and take his lollipop and fart on it or something like that. You know, it's like there's not a good set balance. It's like it's the extremes of both sides.
yeah, I don't like when the choices are binary for one thing, and it just makes it really silly. And games like Infamous, have you guys played Infamous?
Yeah.
I have a lot of problems with Infamous and its morality
Yeah,
system.
like the very first choice in the first Infamous, it's like, should I give the food to the people, or should I take it for myself and be evil?
And you know what the problem with that was? If you wanted to get the better abilities in the game, you had to be mean. You had to be rude and be like stealing from other people, killing a whole bunch of people, because that's where you got like the power bomb grenade upgrade.
In the first game, yeah.
And,
The second game, I think the good abilities were better.
Okay.
Because the second game, like, you got like this super jump that you only had if you go good.
Yeah.
And the super jump just made things so much easier to like
Mhm.
get around the place.
Yeah, actually, because the bad taste that left in my mouth with Infamous is that I flip flopped them. Like all the better abilities in the first one is being bad character.
Mhm.
I was good.
Mhm.
All the best abilities in the second one was from the good. I was bad that time, and I was like, you can't have you can't truly, you know, get.
You want to be on the show?
Want to be on the
No?
show?
Okay.
Come on.
Come on in.
We got yeah.
We have
Guest
a special
star.
guest star.
We're recording.
We're recording a show.
We're recording.
It's live right
Yes.
now.
It's a live show.
There's a camera right
Yeah,
there.
there's a camera right there.
It's great. Friend of ours, April, just showed up. You can
Yeah.
wave. Come
Just make like
back.
an
There you
awkward
are,
on
yes.
screen like hi.
kind of thing. Oh yeah, but we were talking about morality in games, and it's going
Yes.
relatively well. And
Yes.
we're talking about DreamHost.
DreamHost. Use promo code out of continues, no
Out of
spaces.
continue, no
No
spaces.
spaces, just one word. Out of continues. Free domain registration and waive the set fee.
Dude, DreamHost, you coined in DreamHost twice in a podcast. They should give you $1,000
Exactly.
and me $500.
I would do a whole podcast just saying DreamHost over and over and over if that's how money worked.
DreamHost. 1, 2, 3.
DreamHost.
Four,
She's right. She's like
five.
Dream.
DreamHost. Gotta write that down.
Write
Dream.
it down.
Yeah. But oh yeah, so back to our topic, I guess.
Yeah.
As far as like those binary system kind of things, it all comes down to those, you know. And I think Knights of the Old Republic, Lord of the Rings, that one actually did it not too bad.
Okay. Thanks.
Whereas you know, you had your light and dark side tendencies, and but it didn't affect what kind of skills you can use. Not too much. Now you had to have you had to have a dark side buff to get the super abilities. Like these are like the last awesome things for either side. But you could still have dark side abilities and be a light side character.
Like, I think a problem with all this, like as far as making moral choices in games like, you know, Infamous, and you get the powers and all that, is that it doesn't come down to the actual morality at that point. Like
Yeah.
like the player themselves doesn't really care about why Cole is making this moral choice.
Mhm.
It just comes down to, okay, how do I want to play the game? What powers do I want?
Yeah.
And that itself just like breaks the whole purpose of having morality to begin with.
Yeah.
Right. It's like at the very beginning, you just decide like, okay, I want this ability way down in the evil tree. I'm gonna have to be a douche for a really long time in order to get this sweet lightning strike or something.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I personally want to play the good guy side, but what does good guy get? Oh yeah, I can lay a bomb here and then run away from it.
One game that I liked as far as the morality was Knights of the Old Republic. Like I made a decision at the very beginning of the game. I was like, okay, I want to be Sith and be evil. And when I made like a lot of these evil choices, it made me feel bad. Like, oh, I have this cure for like these people that pretty much have leprosy or whatever, and they're dying. And then like I sold it, and like I saw that like how sad they were, like, oh no, and then they just started dropping dead.
Yeah.
It was an instant.
Yeah.
Instant karma. You're like,
There's, in that one, that's why I brought up Knights of the Old Republic as well, was that, I think it did a really great job of like how it set up the structure of the game. You had your main mission. You went into this, okay, we need to find this person. But most of the missions that you did throughout the game were just, you found them.
Mhm.
There wasn't like this really nice check-off list, and you never had like pinpoint areas of where you had to go. Like, it wasn't like, wow, it's like, kill 5 Sniggle Dwarfs or something like that, and then
Sniggle Dwarfs aren't in Knights of the Republic. They're in WoW.
They're in WoW. That's what I'm saying. Sniggle Dwarfs and WoW and bring them back and stuff. But it felt like, okay, I really have to do some exploration, some exploring, and that's where it comes into the morality of the game. I felt the same way. Is that I wanted to make not a binary light side character. I wanted to play towards my own set of moral choices.
Mhm.
I'm going to read all of the text or listen to all the dialogue that comes my way and make my own assumptions and my grasp and put myself into this character, as much as I possibly can. So I do predominantly more light side choices than I would, dark side, just because the more the light side choices benefits me in a moral way in the self. Because there's some choices that are not necessarily white versus black, or
Why's it got about race?
you're the
Come
one who
on
made
now.
it about race.
Yeah, you-
racist.
Hey, you said white versus black.
Okay,
Good versus
red
evil.
Good versus evil.
So how come white and black is good and evil?
Because
No,
because
I got
nobody
white
says
is
good.
evil
Nobody
and
says
black
evil
is good.
versus good.
Yeah. But
Look at the
okay,
evil
so
versus the good.
light side versus the dark side. In the game, most of the things, they always give you kind of like a neutral out
Mm-hmm.
to doing stuff, and they won't tell you which one is which.
Mhm.
Like in Mass Effect, when you had a really bad, like a renegade choice, or
You knew it was a renegade choice.
because they lit up the choice with red.
Yeah.
Didn't they
if
make
you're
your
just-
character like scowl while you were hovering over it too, or something? They like they.
I know.
That was,
I remember they.
I
gave
think
you
that was
cracks and stuff in your face.
That was it was Jade Empire.
Yeah, Jade.
That
Empire did
that was the one where they like made facial expressions when you like
and they were always like really extreme too.
yeah.
But yeah, so even, and I would sometimes be like, what would I choose? And most of the time it would be, because right here it's like, okay, that's obviously a light side choice.
Mhm.
But here's a neutral thing that is actually beneficial because like you would say in a bad side choice would be like, I helped you, give me your money now, or something like that. But one's all like, hey, can I get a reward for doing this? Because all of a sudden I'm 500 credits short. I really need some grenades, or I really need some health packs for this next area I'm going up to. And it's like, hey, I helped you
I
out. Can
owe
you
my
help me
drug
out?
dealer some money, man.
And
Come
then
on.
they don't see it as a light or a negative choice or something like that. You can just say thanks.
Mhm.
you know, and then just walk away. So that's
Mhm.
neutral. Or one is like, hey, can I get a little extra cash? And they're like, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, you did help me out. One's like, don't worry, good Samaritan, I was here to help you because I'm the light side, and you should eat all your vegetables. And it's like light side points. And one's like, you
Mhm.
know, it's like, I'm gonna kill your family.
What
And then
what I like more than like what Mass, as you mentioned, Mass Effect has the choices, and it'll like light up red or light up blue for Renegade and Paragon. I like it more when a game has the morality choice through the gameplay itself, and it
Mhm.
doesn't strip tell you these are the choices. Like for example, the original Deus Ex. Like there's one part of the game where I can't remember any people's names, but the cyborg chick that's with you, she tells you to kill the rebel leader, and like you can like it doesn't tell you anything other than that. Like she tells you straight up kill this guy, and you don't even the game doesn't tell you you have other choices because you can either like stand there and do nothing and she'll end up killing him, or you can kill her instead and save the rebel leader. Like the game doesn't tell you this stuff. It's like
Mhm.
in the gameplay
yeah,
itself.
it comes down to like what choices you think, and then I
Yeah.
think Deus Ex has always done a really good job with that.
Spec Ops: The Line does the same thing as well because like they'll tell you to do something, and a lot of times you can do more than just what they tell you to do.
Yeah.
I think that harkens back to an older style of game design, though, because nowadays everyone wants to be pointed into the direction like, okay, these are the options that you have, these are the choices that you can make.
Mhm.
Whereas, like back in the day, like if I wanted to play Mario 3, the objective is run right, get to the end of the level.
Mhm.
I didn't have to do that. I can try and fall through a platform and find a secret door, or I can just skip the world entirely.
Mhm.
But those weren't options that were made available to you. That stuff's not in the instruction manual or anything. That's all you found it by screwing with the game and like, what can I poke and press?
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of it too. You know, the other night we were hanging out and we were playing some old fighter games, and I noticed that too with just how,
The morality system in Street Fighter.
yeah.
Very good.
Well,
Akuma.
hear me out. Hear me out. Like how, you know, I was thinking, I was like, when I was younger and stuff, and I'd go to the arcades, and you know, the reason I always had kind of a bad taste in my mouth for fighters was that there was always those older trolls that would hang out by the arcade machine and stuff, and they would just wait for an unsuspecting kid like myself to pop in, you know, his quarters or his tokens or whatever not, and you know, here I am playing, you know, the original Marvel vs. Capcom, or I'm playing Mortal Kombat or something like
Yeah.
that, and they'll come up and be like, hey, I'm gonna play with you, and then you know they're like
Yeah,
5 years your senior when I'm
You're just playing
young.
you're playing up the ranks,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they just smash you and
Yeah, and
you
then
lose your money.
sometimes they were like legitimate players. Like these guys were like, okay, I'm just better because I'm more skilled. And
Uh-huh.
some of them, they knew those really cheap nuances, the juggles, the keep you cornered in the side and just, you know, hammered the same move over and over again. You know, and
that
I just,
Donatello gameplay.
yeah, that
We
Donatello.
were playing the Ninja Turtles fighting game
yeah, the
the other night,
ninja,
and Donatello is like top tier broken. Oh my god,
Yeah.
he's so good.
The one for SNES.
Yes.
Oh yeah, like he pretty much
His
can
moves
reach,
are amazing.
he can reach across the screen.
Yeah, he's got like just like a basic strong attack that is anti anything that you try to do to it,
Mhm.
and it's got a ridiculous amount of reach and stuff. That was actually a really good one. I liked how it was set up. It wasn't as responsive as like some of the Street Fighter games we were playing, but it was really fun. And but no, what I come to this is like how our morality as players come into games like that as well.
Mhm.
You know, is, you know, here's a legitimate strategy. You know, what they would consider a legitimate strategy on someone who's they're younger. You know, I was definitely, you know, a younger kid. You know, I grew up in arcades, so
I grew up in a house.
I grew up on the streets. But
I grew up on my legs.
but you know, that's oh, I just got that. But anyway, is you know, that was a waste of like what, you know, 50 cents for me,
Mhm.
or 2 tokens, which is essentially 50 cents or something like that, just for them
Nowadays it would be $1.
to get that
Two.
to get that, you know, that satisfaction of, oh wow, you picked on someone like me. That's a
Mhm.
moral choice that they have, that they put into the gameplay, and sometimes they'll choose characters that they know that, you know, if they were fighting a legitimate hardcore player, that they couldn't, they would have to really change up their strategy, but they know that there's that one spam move, and here comes a young kid that doesn't know, they put into it. And then you know, moral choices can come through a lot of games. I think maybe more the Western RPGs set up for a lot more like your own style moral choices, because you have a little bit more freedom as far as character creation and what goes into their JRPGs. They set up the morality through the story that they set themselves. So the characters go through moral choices and moral struggles, and it's more like you're guiding them and leading them through it,
Mhm.
which are really good ways of learning those and experiencing, and like, wow, you know, what would I do in that kind of situation or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, which great storytelling like that. You know, a lot of people are like, well, we're putting the choice in your hands and stuff, and it's like, what you're not doing is giving us viable choices. You're giving us very binary choices, because I wouldn't do this. I absolutely wouldn't do this. Let's take that first scene from Infamous.
Mhm.
I just saved that food drop. What's to say that I say, look guys, I did this. Let me take my cut. I take one of these barrels for myself. You guys dish the rest out for yourselves. That's a viable choice, right?
Yeah,
I
that's
put
a
in
half
a little
and half
extra
choice.
effort.
Yeah.
Let me take a little bit more of my cut. After that, you guys can take the rest. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to dish it out myself. No, it's all or nothing, and it's not what we would do. You know.
Mhm.
Another big problem that I have with games like Infamous or Mass Effect is when they give you a moral choice, they give you forever and a day to answer that question.
Mhm.
I have like had a choice in Mass Effect where I could get up and go to the bathroom, go make a sandwich, come back, and my character's just standing there like,
Yep.
what you gonna do? Whereas like in something like The Walking Dead, you have to make that choice then.
Yeah.
There is no,
And like,
and that's what really forces your mortality to the forefront, because you were like, okay, do I want to save this person, or do I want to let them die and take their gun?
yeah, like the choice I mentioned earlier about Deus Ex, you know, I was taking too long, and she ended up killing him for me just because I was like, oh man, I gotta kill this guy.
When you start weighing your conscience, that's when you know you have a good morality choice in your game. If the person is really struggling with how they want to progress, then you've done something good.
As far, you know, to tell you the truth, the Tall Tale, The Walking Dead, it's one of the better ways of experiencing like zombie games nowadays. Because I mean, zombies to me are way too played out. But as far as
it's all about mowing them down with double machine guns. It's not about being afraid of them. Come on, this isn't Resident Evil 1.
Come on now, we've progressed.
Yeah,
we figured it out. We got guns.
But you know that it presents those what we need as far as some moral choices right off the bat. Now, granted, if you dove a little bit deeper and stuff, they do give you usually about 4 different choices of things, and most of them are just kind of blatant answers, not necessarily saying this is a good one, this is a bad one, this is a neutral one, this one's a whatever. You know, it's these
are all bad choices. Which one do you want to live with?
Yeah. Which lesser evil can you see yourself getting by
and
on?
That's another good one too. Is that they don't just say here's a bad choice, here's a good choice. They say they side with people. They do the siding, which is that happens all the time. You know, usually because if you two were arguing and I was kind of that moderator, you know, it's like this game's great, this game sucks, and I say, look, dude, the game kind of, you know, it falters in some areas. I'm leaning a teeny bit on his side, so you're going to take that as sort of a negative connotation. Now we're all gentlemen and adults here. Well,
come on,
maybe
Lee.
not so much.
You didn't stand up for my son earlier, so I'm not going to help you now, Lee.
Yeah. You know, and then I think they did a really good job of, like, you know, they offered enough, like, tension within the characters themselves to pull some moral choices. And and the same thing with those kind of games is that I don't try to sit there and be like, I'm going to lean towards this or I'm going to lean towards that. I just play me. I play, and even if it has like, because in the first one you play as Lee. Lee has his own character. He brings his own character to it. You're kind of exuberating yourself. So like I will try to put myself into, because they set up very little background, which I really like, because that gives you a lot more chance to project yourself into the character. But right now we know that, right off the beginning of the game, that Lee has some kind of weird family tension. It's because he never really likes to kind of bring it up too much, and later on in the game you finally figure out more and more. But there's that hold it off family attention. So a lot of the stuff is going to be redirecting away from his past, and the first thing that's happening to him, he's being sent to prison.
Yeah.
So he's done something, and he's definitely not like this hardened killer, like, oh, I just done my nickel, you can take me back to prison, I don't care, kind of thing. It's
he's humble and afraid.
Yeah, it's kind of like, just this is life, this is what it dealt to me, kind of thing. So that's necessarily something that he's probably not very proud of. He's not going to, flaunt that as that's part of his personality. He wants to kind of forget that. And then I think the father, a great game too, if we ever talk about like the motherly or fatherly roles in games or something like that, the best example is definitely Lee and Clementine, because that is like a very, very like deep, they did a really good job of making it, of course the morality of it, what do you want to, Clementine, do you want to try to save some of her innocence, or do you need her to be like, look, you need to grow up now. You can't be who you were anymore. You have to change.
Since you mentioned, games with like that parental connection, I wanted to quickly talk about like The Last of Us. Have either you two played it? I don't want to like talk about
I
like
have not gotten the chance to.
Okay.
Man.
Have you played it?
I've played it.
Okay,
I played and beat it.
Oh, you didn't even get to the ending?
No, I beat it.
Oh, you beat it? Okay,
Yeah.
so like there's a
Be careful about spoilers.
Yeah, I'm not spoiling anything, but there was a moral choice that was made by Joel at the end, and you don't even have a choice in it. Like the player doesn't have a choice at all. Like, what do you think about games where the moral choice is made for you by the character? Like, like I said, Joel makes that choice for you. And I remember in the past, like when I played like Metal Gear games, Snake would make a choice. Like for example, Naomi, she backstabs you at a certain point, and then at another point he's like, I want to get revenge on her, but Snake isn't, going to kill her. And I'm like, man, Snake, come on, be a man and shoot her in the face. Like these characters are obviously making choices for you, and you're not making the choice. Like personally, I feel like that can create a disconnect between the player and the character. But at the same time, like what made me really appreciate The Last of Us was the fact that this isn't a story about Staffa. This is a story about Joel. Joel's the one that's making the choices, not Staffa.
Yeah. See, that's where games, most of them are those kind of original concept. Those games are about those characters. You vicariously play through them. They're trying to give it to that moral choice. You have a little bit more, but then again, it's morality doesn't have to come through a system or playing or somehow. Even Metal Gear, they do kind of give you some moral choice options. I've noticed that I'm more predisposed to knocking them out than killing. And of course at the end of the game you can get some achievement / like trophies or badges and stuff for doing those kind of runs and stuff. But I always find myself be like, look, I've got this guy, held up, and I've stripped him of his weapon, his dog tags,
does that little dance.
Yeah, he does that little dance or whatever not. So you know, I have to make that moral choice sometimes.
Yeah, I definitely feel that feeling of moral choice when I play stealth games. When I decide, okay, I'm going to knock out people rather than kill them, and I feel like I've made that choice consciously myself rather than like the game telling me to do it.
Yeah.
And then you got games like Dishonored where the ending will be different depending on how many people you kill.
Yeah. You know, and those are all, you know, they're all really neat and stuff. And then, you know, when we go back to like The Last of Us or something like that, where those moral choices and stuff were written by those characters and stuff, and that just comes down to basic good storytelling, you know, and that's something that can go either way. You know, it can be an absolute masterpiece. No, sorry.
No, it was just like facing away from you rather than towards you.
I was all leaning over here and stuff. I move around a lot, but
You just gotta do the pivot.
but my what was I talking? Oh yeah, I was talking about The Last of Us. Okay.
Yeah.
My thing with that one is that, you know, it's the same thing as like reading a book or watching a movie or something like that. It's to vicariously live through those, and those are even sometimes more impactful themselves. You know, you don't sit there and be like, oh, I get to make those choices and stuff like that, because, you know, sometimes in binary systems like that, you don't really get to outweigh very much of the choices or very much of the scenarios and stuff. You get to see it through through the eyes of somebody who, you know, and you know, anybody who has played The Last of Us understands that, you know, the acting and the voice acting and you know, the emotion is up there, man. I mean, it's a great narrative-driven game that you know, forces those negative issues. And then what I did myself is that outside of the game world, I put myself into those shoes, you know, vicariously, like, what would I do, you know? And it allows me to take myself and put myself into other characters' roles as well. How would I feel, you know, not necessarily me being a girl, but if I was, you know, Ellie's age, that's her name, right? Ellie? In that? Yeah, Ellie. I was Ellie's age, and I had to go through a lot of that stuff.
Ellie Page. See what I did there?
Yeah, I saw what you did there. But
I'm a genius.
You'll get us sued.
You know, and even outside of like her upbringing, because I never got to play the DLC. I really want to play the DLC and figure out her you know, more of her backstory and stuff. But
she's a girl. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I knew that. But
she had a hard life, I'm guessing too.
Yeah, I mean, like a hard, you know, start and stuff. Being born into this, you know, I was thinking that too. Is that Joel has a glimpse of a life with, you know,
where things were normal,
where things were somewhat normal, and like the worst that he had to worry about was like making his mortgage payment, and then all of a sudden 20 years elapses, and then we see a more gnarled and more grizzled person that has gone through a lot of
grizzly bear.
Yeah, I mean, we even have somebody, you know, because he openly talks, not necessarily very open about like the details, but he openly says that he has done some very horrible things just to survive. And you know, and
one thing I really like about, you know, like The Last of Us and, you know, these games that want to, you know, make the moral choices for you is that these games are sending one clear, specific message. You know, the writers can work on making that one message as powerful as they can, rather than trying to like make all these, you know, as many choices as possible. Like my game, Beware the Bully, that I made, you know, has an anti-bullying message, and I was talking to a professor that I met at GDC, you know, telling him about the game, and I told him my ideas if I were to make like a chapter 2 for the game. You know, in Beware the Bully, you basically, you know, you stand up to the bully at the end of the game and you save your friends. And I was saying in the second game, if I were to ever make it, this is, you know, my idea for it is that basically the bully would get smaller and you'd like get some power up to make yourself bigger, and then you'd be chasing the bully throughout the game, and by the end of the game, like the bully would like run into a small hole or something like that, and then like you'd see a big mirror above that hole. You walk up to the mirror and you basically see the bully,
Mm-hmm.
in the reflection of the mirror, showing that hey, anybody can be a bully. You have become the monster yourself. And I was explaining that to him, and he was like, "Well, that sounds like a really good idea, but what if you make choices in the game, and the choices that you make can lead up to that, or lead up to you being not the bully, And the thing with that's I didn't like about it is that it's taken away from me sending that one clear specific message,
Mm-hmm.
and it also makes the game a lot more complex to make to begin with. To like, okay, here's going to be a point where you make a choice, and here's another point where you make another choice, and all these choices will equal to either this ending or that ending or that ending, and it might, it makes the game a lot more complex, and the message itself might not be as strong as that one clear, specific message I want to give.
I don't know. I think the strength of the message is what could be dependent on, like, what kind of moral choices you put into the game. Like, if you just make it, like Cody was saying, just strict black and white, like, okay, if you can either choose to bully the kid for his lunch money or you can ignore him.
Mm-hmm.
If you just give him simple things like that, like, I'm going to ignore him because I'm going to try and be a good person.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put a little bit of color into there, like, okay, you left your lunch money at home, you have to go the whole day hungry, or that this nerdy kid usually carries double lunch money, just get some from him.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're trying to actually like, maybe it's not such a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like you could still send the same message, and you could send it in a more powerful form.
Yeah.
All based on how you construct those choices.
Yeah. I mean, like, what I'm saying here is I feel like a lot of developers at this point really want to shoehorn in moral choices
and multiplayer.
Yeah, and multiplayer, that too. But like I do like moral choices in games. I'm not saying I don't like it, but there's a time and place for morality choices in games. I don't feel like every game needs it.
You could take that entire last couple sentences that you said and change out moral choices for multiplayer, and it would be like just as true.
Oh yeah. There's I think there's also a big disconnect with taking some sort of like morality system
Mm-hmm.
and understanding where just storytelling needs to come.
Mm-hmm.
Because not every story has to have a moral to it. Take the Coen brothers, for instance. Those were just storytelling. Those are just stories. Just plain and simple, because they really didn't impact any other outside of our lives. They never, the morals that came from it can differ from person to person. It's not as black and white as like Avatar and something. It's like save the rainforest or something like that. It's not as like oh, we're killing our planet or something like that, or you should be nice to people and stuff. It's a story that you can take whatever you can from whatever it is. That's why that's what The Last of Us did very well, and that's why a lot of people didn't know why they liked it so much. They were like, oh well, because it looked beautiful, it played great, it had but it was just a story. It hinged on the saving of mankind from what came out of here, but there's so much little detail that comes from the encounters themselves than the broad picture of the scope.
Yeah.
And that's what morality choices do. They want you to focus to the end from the beginning, because it's not going to say, all right, you're full on bad from the beginning, or you're full on good from the beginning. In any kind of story-based, any kind of thing, you change depending on how you go. And a game that doesn't, it needs to, if we have a really good morality game that based on the morals and system, we need something that will change the game depending on your choices in the world, without it being so blatantly obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Like having meters for it. No one gauges how good they are by a meter and stuff.
I do.
It's like okay, Staffa, he's an okay guy because he's got 32 good points and 28 bad points. You know, it's like
Only 28.
only 28.
Only 28.
No, it's full. I've got 100 of them. I'm full bad. Bad in the good way. Puts on sunglasses, rides a Harley out of here. You know.
Bad to the bone, baby.
But yeah, it's just in what life scenario at all, it's like that whole like, oh, we're trying to make games more immersive, and it's all like
You're treating morality like a punch card at a Subway.
yeah, perfect analogy. If
On your 8th punch, you get an evil ability point. Like
yeah, it's
Bazam!
it's that way. It's like it doesn't make sense to have stuff so black and white. That's why the Mass Effect games they didn't grasp that, and they had really clunky controls, and they were broken as all hell.
Finally, someone else who thinks the Mass Effect games are overrated.
Yeah,
it's about time to find somebody.
Man, they're just
You should meet my my younger brother, Ali.
Does he also hate Skyrim?
Yes, he does.
Oh, we could get along and talk. Everybody listening, Skyrim is an awful game. It really is.
But yeah, it's just shoehorning in those kind of things. It doesn't make it well if it's going to be done. Because you have to have something that's a little bit more established, like the light and dark sides in Star Wars. That's a really good way to grasp it, because it's not necessarily always evil and stuff. Because fearing, having great amounts of fear was a good way to be pushed to the dark side. That's what happened to Anakin Skywalker.
Fear
the fear of his
to
death, and then anger.
suffering.
Yeah, suffering, and then suffering leads to hatred, and blah blah blah. And it goes all down
Hatred
to
leads to hunger.
and it all came down just for the treatment of his mother. It wasn't necessarily. Granted, the movies were awful, but what was
Movies be awful they are.
but what was happening?
You said not like a Jar Jar?
Yeah, but what was happening wasn't a black and white scenario in life. We had a light side and we had a dark side. It was kind of, a little bit on the black and white side when it came to that.
Why's it got to be about race again?
Because Qui-Gon was white and Darth Maul was black.
He was.
I'm
red.
talking about their robes. I'm talking
red
about
too.
their robes, not their skin color. Jeez.
I'll just disappear then.
Jedis have brown robes.
Yeah.
Okay, brown versus black.
It's the brown people versus the black people. Like, oh, this is just getting worse and worse.
You're making me lose listeners. Come on now.
But okay, so anyway, there's a bit of morality there too, but it's also coupled in with worldviews. How you're gonna tackle morality systems is to stop shoehorning them, to stop making them so binary, to stop making them the absolute defining factor on a game. You make another Infamous game, it's going to be, it just doesn't do it. It doesn't work
Does
well.
the latest Infamous game have morality? I don't know.
I do not know. I do not have a PlayStation 4.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I don't know about the new Infamous. After 2, I was like, you know what, I'm done.
Although I heard a lot of good things about Second Son.
Yeah. I heard it's pretty good, but I don't have a PS4.
And that E3 splash with that neon version of it where everything's all bright purple and awesome. Yeah, I could play some of that.
But yeah, it's just I don't think that if we want to have a moral system or a moral choice, shoot it through more subtle ways, or stop trying to make it. It's a part of the game itself. Make it an outside force that people need to openly think about when they're outside. Military games have a great platform for outside thinking about this kind of stuff.
Spec Ops: The Line.
Spec Ops: The Line does a really good job with it.
Have you played Spec Ops?
Nope.
You should.
I'm not a huge army shooter
Dude,
person.
you should
Yeah.
play Spec Ops: The Line.
Even outside the army
Like,
shooter one.
As a game designer,
Okay.
you should play Spec Ops: The Line. Like,
Do you have
it
a
is-
copy of it?
I might. keep talking.
All right,
I'll
yeah.
figure it out.
Let's see if you got a copy on like PS3 or something. I'll borrow that, and
Oh, I was
I
gonna
will
say
burn through it.
Steam.
oh,
Yeah.
that Steam works too.
I might,
But
but
Yeah.
you should definitely play that game.
I mean, what did Spec Ops do that was so special?
Spec Ops, it had a really neat. Since we're talking about morality, Spec Ops is a really good one. It broke the fourth wall in a lot of ways. What it was, it's kind of a farce on military shooters itself. It's it's making fun or trying to bring a light that power fantasy that a lot of players get now from like Call of Duties and stuff. Breaking that, oh, we're this super awesome soldier and stuff. It also brings up like morality questions like when to use white phosphorus or
No, I don't have.
having
It goes really cheap on Steam sales though, like $5.
Well, if you will let me know next time it's on a sale, I will go ahead and snatch it up.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, the way that they laid out the game and stuff, they made it so it was supposed to be a mock of these
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty military power fantasy
Like,
shooter games.
Whenever you play the game, put it on easy, because all you'll do if you play on normal or harder, you're just making the game longer, and the gameplay itself is not that fun. It's just a very generic third-person shooter. But that's just the shooting part. If you put on easy mode, you'll blow through the game like 4 hours, and you'll get the entire experience. From that. What's really good about it is the story itself. As Cody's saying, it's pretty much a social commentary on how like Call of Duty tries to glorify war. Make you as if you're this one-man superhero marine that can stop Saddam Hussein and and Al
Trying to make you believe
Qaeda.
that you're Master Chief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, let's not forget who started the whole power fantasy.
Yeah.
it questions the whole glory of going to war, and
Mhm.
like what they do with the game design is really excellent, because the fact that you can make moral choices in the game and you don't even know it.
See, and that's how you do moral choices
Yeah.
also. In a game like we were talking about The Last of Us, where he has to make this big moral choice at the end that you don't have any say in,
Mhm.
if you're going to have moral choices in the game and not use them like the way that Mass Effect does, where it governs the different options that the game lays out,
Mhm.
or in Infamous where it determines which abilities you get, if they're just flat morality choices, make them for the player.
I think there's one point in the game where the guy straight up tells you gotta do this thing. It was with the thief. That point. But like that's the only one point in the game where I remember them straight up telling you, here's a choice. But even though they told you to do this, there are like many things you can do that they didn't tell you can do.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot of that's in there. I'm trying to think of one scenario. Okay, so this one's it's a little bit later in the game, but it's not going to give out too much. It's after a while. You were surrounded by a lot of the locals you're in Dubai
Mhm.
after like these really bad sandstorms. So most of Dubai has just been laid to rubble, and there's a bunch of the locals around, and they're screaming and yelling at you, and they're trying to attack one of your friends.
Yeah.
And it's just, and trust me, you deserved it.
Mhm.
That's another thing. A lot of the stuff that happens to you, you realize how much you deserve it.
Mhm.
And then here's another thing about it too is like the power fantasy through most of these shooters and stuff also comes off as a social commentary for the United States as well, and how
Yeah.
we see people of minority when it comes to Middle Eastern people, because in a lot of these games, who are our targets?
Mhm.
Yep.
That's a big giant question on morality and how people see and perceive
The Middle East
these
in
kind of
general,
things.
just because of the way these games are constructed.
Yeah, and where those power dilemmas and stuff, because like here it was, and it happens all the time. The majority of the James Bond movies, who were the terrorists? Who were the bad guys? Russians. Why? Because of the Cold War.
Yeah.
you know,
But-
and it's a social commentary on that. But guess what? In the Spec Ops: The Line, the majority of the people you kill, you fight against, are other American soldiers. And then here's the thing about it is that the farther on you play the game, you stop realizing that.
But going back to your example, the
oh yeah, so,
you're getting
yeah.
surrounded by the locals,
you're getting surrounded by the locals.
and one of your friends pretty much says shoot them down.
Yeah, he just says, you know, because it comes to the point where you're yelling at him to stop and stuff, and he's just like, and this is, like I said, later on in the game, so you've been through a lot, so stress is high. He just says, mow him down or something like that. So the natural course of action, what you think is to do is that, and at that time too, you have a, and they did it perfectly. This is game design done well. The weapon that you have at the time is a light machine gun, so you have tons of ammunition.
Yeah.
Tons of ammunition. So what do you think to do? Just to start mowing through these crowds.
I shot up in the air.
Yeah. Another thing they didn't say is
Yeah.
that you can just point the gun up in the air, shoot, and they scatter.
Yeah, like everyone runs away.
I shot in the ground. That's what I did. Was I just sprayed around in the ground. I didn't shoot anybody as well, but it worked all the same. And it's just
And I'm assuming something probably happens if you don't do anything at all. I just didn't wait.
I didn't do that either. I need I need to go through the game and play it a couple more times.
Yeah.
Your friend just dies. Game over.
It possibly no. I think he does. I don't know. I'm not going to spoil too much because you need to watch it. I mean, you need
This
to play
is a game
it.
you should play. Like
Alright,
I
alright.
said, you want to be a game designer.
I am a game designer. I don't know what you're talking about. One up you.
I'm talking about professional. Professional. You want to be
I am
professional?
professional. I just don't get paid.
Yeah, it's
you should play Spec Ops.
Oh,
It is one of
during
those
loading
games.
screens too, pay attention to what is being typed out in
The,
front
the
of you.
thing, like with me, since I was playing on PC and my PC runs pretty well, I saw like 2 loading screens. So I missed out on but from what I saw afterwards, well, the listeners probably heard me brush against the mic. But anyways,
It's all right.
From what I saw afterwards, like basically the loading screens gives you, you know, like how games give you the pro tips. Like the pro tips change. Like they start breaking the fourth wall at a certain point.
Yeah, it's pushing onto that power fantasy and that PTSD and stuff, and it's all like one of them, which this one like blew my mind. This is what made me put the game down for a second and really think about this game, and this is the moment that I was like, this isn't just a generic third-person shooter. This is something a lot more. The line was, "Do you feel like a big man now?" It was talking about that power fantasy, about why you're playing this game and stuff like that. And the only thing the only other game that I've played that ever kind of touched on that was Metal Gear Solid 2. Metal Gear Solid 2 was that big,
The part of the end where the-
meta narrative on, postmodernism and, the role of a player. And this one, it blatantly pushes in your face. Because, started that game, you think, yep, it's going to be a military sim where I'm going to go in and be power hungry.
And like the image for the loading screens like gradually get darker and darker. Like at first it's like American flags and USA, 4th of July, and then like eventually it's like bloody and very like it's just a gradual shift.
Yeah. Another cool thing about this too, and I'm not going to give away too much more
You
about
already gave away everything.
I didn't give away too much, but
It's
another
like
thing
a sweepstakes over here. Just give
Well,
it, please,
is
give it,
just is notice the nuances of the game and how they change. Just because a lot of the stuff just changes a little bit, and it's just like wow. It really right up all the way to the ending that punches you right in the face. It's a great game. You have to play it.
Also, Extra Credits did a 2-part video on this, so.
Just on Spec Ops?
Yeah, just on Spec Ops. Just on
They
Spec Ops.
loved it.
So, like, you play the game, watch both those videos, it'll get you thinking even more about it.
Yeah, I would suggest playing the game first before watching those videos if you haven't.
Like part 1, they made it so that you can watch that video without spoilers. Part 2 definitely has spoilers, but
You
like
always have to
Cody
do
said.
something for yourself before you
Yeah.
get someone else's opinion on it.
Yeah,
That's
so-
how I knew Bioshock Infinite was a bad game after the first playthrough.
Yeah.
What does everyone else think about this game? Oh, it's amazing.
Dude,
It's godlike.
Dude,
I'm like,
you're gonna like you and my brother Ali.
yeah. well, because the first Bioshock was such a masterpiece. It was so good, and the second one was even better. And then Infinite happens, and you're like, "What did you do, Levine?" But anyway,
So, do we have like final thoughts before we move on to news?
Man, we can go on forever about this, but yeah, I would
Adrian?
just my thing would be just is I guess a public service announcement
Play WildStar.
to gamers or whatever you want to call yourselves out there, video game enthusiasts. Pay attention a little bit more when you play games. Just pay attention to yourself, your character, and what changes and how yourself changes through this game and stuff.
Video games.
Video games.
Adrian?
But not every game needs to have a solid narrative to be a good game. Just in terms of morality, it needs to have a solid narrative.
Pac-Man.
Oh, Pac-Man with morality choices?
Oh, no,
Do I
no.
take a left? Do I take a right?
Missile
No,
Command.
I go
Missile
straight.
Command is by far one of the greatest games ever made. Missile Command, and it's all based through narrative, morality choices through play.
I don't really agree.
Yeah, how do you see that? I see
Missile-
alien invasion,
I-
save the
Like,
Earth.
I watched
No.
the extra
That's-
credits video on it, and like I was like I wrote into them. I was like, I don't really agree, because when I played this game as a kid, I did not see any of that stuff that you mentioned, and not only that, my mom walked in and she was like, what's happening? Is Saddam attacking Saddam attacking you or something?
Well, the scope of the scope of the weapons that are being used, those are nuclear. Those are nuclear bombs being used, and none of the ships or none of the anything is presented in any kind of extraterrestrial form whatsoever. It's human versus human. There is no winning the game. There is, I think there might be a kill screen for it, but one of the more subtle things about it is that when the game is over, most of them is game over.
Mhm.
As in, you were playing a game, now it's over. The ending title is just one massive explosion. The end. The end of what? Humanity. The end of everything. 'Cause
End of the game.
It's a big because when it came out was in 1978. I want to say, this is just coming off the top of my head, 1978, where the atomic bomb was still a pretty big news thing. I mean, it wasn't in the height of the the Cuban Missile Crisis and stuff like that, but I mean, we were still coming hot and heavy off that, and then the Cold War was
See,
going.
Well, the thing is, though, a lot of people played this game as kids, and a lot of those kids, like me, just was like, I'm
Yeah.
blowing stuff up,
Mhm.
man.
But at the same time, you could put that same idea to modern kids. If you give a modern kid a Call of Duty game, he's not thinking about like the overarching things, but he's like, I got a gun. I'm like that's the whole thing to him.
I'm upon these noobs. I'm with your mom right now.
Yeah, and then
Like, have you even gotten to puberty yet before you start talking about laying with my mom?
Yeah, what are you talking about? I'm a teabag. Tea time.
that was the one thing that I always appreciate when my father told me. I was playing 007 GoldenEye for the 64, and I was playing on one of the hard.
Was a good
Yeah.
game.
I was playing on one of the harder difficulties and just mowing people down like it was just nothing.
Mhm.
And he pulled me aside and he was like, "Do you realize that what you're doing here is a disconnect from the outside world to the inside world, and that if you were to apply this to reality, you are killing human beings."
You have to make sure kids know that difference, and that's the biggest thing when people. That's why it always infuriates me when people say that like a parent bought a kid Grand Theft Auto. Like there is so much imagery in that game that you do not have the time to parent them and be like, don't shoot hookers, don't see hookers, don't get involved with drug lords, don't kill people.
I saw-
Drive a car
I
responsibly.
saw a post on Reddit the other day on our gaming, and like it was a picture of Payday 2, and like the caption that they put on there is, "This game makes me feel confident to rob a jewelry store." It's like, dude, if you think that's what robbing a jewelry store is like, no,
No.
no, you're not gonna hide in the corner and regenerate your health.
Go watch Ocean's 11, and then maybe you can pull off a heist.
So, anyways, let's move on.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's go on to news. The first news I got here. Did you guys hear about this Hearthstone tournament that everyone's talking about?
I heard a little bit of controversy about like the whole, like it
Oh.
was supposed to be boys only,
Yeah,
and then
yeah, I
they
did
were
hear
like
about that.
furious about the gender. Now there's still girls only tournaments, but the boys only ones now.
Okay, so basically this is led by the Finnish Assembly because this is, in Finland. And they say that basically this is a male-only tournament. From what I understand, there's like several tournaments that they have going on. One of them is Hearthstone, and it was male-only. And they say that a lot of people complain like, hey, why is this male-only? What's going on? So what they said in response is that they want to promote female players by hosting a female-only competition. They also want another reason is that international standards. They want to get esports recognized as a true sport. They have to comply to international sports regulations. For example, chess has segregated genders as well because that's recognized as a sport. They say that gender-only tournaments is like region-only tournaments. They help promote specific groups. So they're saying that they want to promote female players by like having a female-only tournament later on. And that's what they were saying the other day. Today, though, there was an update this morning that the men's tournament is now open gender. So,
But they are still having female-only tournaments.
yes.
That's just, again, Blizzard shooting themselves in the foot. You
It's
cannot.
not Blizzard.
It's not Blizzard doing it.
No, it's not Blizzard. It's the Finnish Assembly.
No, okay,
Yeah,
the Finnish Assembly. You are not going to unite gamers across gender lines as long as you continue to segregate them.
Yeah, I think the problem is that we want to try to, especially with like competitive gaming and stuff like that, is to legitimize it by saying it's a sport. Now we need to take it outside of the realm of being a sport because sports are always going to have that sexual divide unless it's golf, and even still. They have men and women tournaments, which they play at the same time. It's just they're scored, separate. It's how it's always been as far as sports-wise, sports goes. Now, granted, you can argue that, oh well, the physicality of some people and whatever not, and that is true. Women tend to be, of a certain
Shorter
average
height,
as far as body build and stuff.
Right.
And
Yeah, sports it totally makes sense because actual athletic sports make sense because of the fact that our bone structure
is different.
Yeah, it's
Our
completely
muscle
different.
structure is
Yeah,
different.
Like there was a controversy with there was one transgender fighter that was trying to get into female MMA, and there's like a lot of controversy with this fighter because of the fact that this person used to be a male and now identifies as female.
but he still grows has physical power like a male.
Males have like bigger hands, like they have different skeletal structure. Also,
And probably taller.
yeah, I mean like this fighter is also still pretty buff. Don't know if this person was taking roids or not because after you have your your body
Surgery done.
Yeah, surgery done. You should, males produce testosterone, which helps them build muscle. So maybe this person was also taking roids because this person was still pretty muscular. But that's beside the point. You know, the argument was that, hey, this
Well-
person used to be a man and is pretty big, even though can fit inside the weight class of a woman, is still like, you know, it would not be a fair fight.
It's like
Yeah.
like you
You
said,
know.
when it comes to like a physical sport like running, football, soccer, basketball, any of this stuff, there has to be a gender division
Mhm.
because, like you said, the physical forms of men and women are just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when it comes to something that's purely based on reflexes and your mind,
Mhm.
that should not have a gender division in it at all. I have played fighting games with guys and just wiped the floor with them, and then I've turned around and played Mario Kart Double Dash with a girl, and she just smeared me. It wasn't even a competition, and I'm pretty good at Double Dash, so it was like pretty degrading to have that happen. I was like, oh, you crushed my man ego.
Yeah.
But she could do it,
Mhm.
and it wasn't just because, oh, she's female, she's better at Mario Kart. That
Mhm.
doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
It's just she has the skills to compete.
I mean, men and women do have different minds as well. Like,
We
you
can
know,
think
wh- wh-
differently,
yeah,
but we can still reach the same conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, women are better at multitasking than men
Mhm.
in general. But like, as far as playing a game, I don't think like I don't know if it's scientifically proven if one gender can play games better than the other.
And
You know,
it's
like,
not.
It's not.
You know,
Yeah.
game, and there's so many different categories of games and stuff out there that really, you know, we can probably have sports of just different, different classes of different games. Like, okay, we're all about racing games, or we're all about fighting games, or and we do that all
Plus,
the time.
a
and
lot
we
of
have
these-
fighting game tournaments all
Yeah.
the time.
A lot of these games also provide different forms of strategy and ways of play that, you know, people can use what they're best at to play this way. Like for example, you know, Dota 2 is part of this this tournament, and you know, Dota has different roles. You know, you have your jungler and you have your whatever,
and
and
a solo lane, solo
Yeah.
mid.
yeah, you have your supports and whatever. Like they all play differently. So like you can use your, you know, what you know, the best way you can think and apply that.
Yeah, and that all
towards
comes
how you
down to
play.
team communication
Yeah.
and stuff like that. See, that's the thing is that, you know, video game tournaments, that's not a sport.
Mhm.
So we need to stop trying to make it into some other realm of something that already has its own, you know, sets of rules and how it's got it structured and stuff, and introduce something that is so wildly different in play and mentality and stuff into something that just doesn't fit right. Because what happens is that you get these divides. You have to have more regulations and things that don't work well with it. Yeah, I know it's going to take it. It's going to be harder and it's going to be more difficult. But we need to make it our own, you know, our own thing.
Before Big Brother comes and takes it from us.
Yes.
So
He's watching.
let me go through all the different tournaments at this event real quick. Like they have Dota 2. Participating teams may consist of 5 male players, 5 female players, or mixed team.
So why did you even need to specify? Just team
Yeah.
of 5v5.
StarCraft 2, Heart of the Swarm, players of all genders can participate in this event.
So you can phrase it like that for StarCraft, but
Ultra Street Fighter 4, players of all genders can participate in this event. Hearthstone says Esports World Cup Championship Baku 2014. Oh, I don't know what that is. Players of all genders can participate in this event. You know, that's what they changed it to now.
Yeah.
Tekken Tag Tournament. All players of all genders can participate in this event. This was a female-only competition, but then they changed it to
Yeah, I think
all
they had
genders.
it. Yeah, I think they had it too. Like they separated it. Like Street Fighter 4 was male, and the Tekken Tag tournament was all female.
which
Like-
is stupid because
Um,
given like the basic mentality of the whole gaming culture is that men are smarter than women.
Oh,
and Tekken is way harder to play
I
than
read this
Street
wrong.
Fighter.
Tekken Tag tournaments. They had it was only female, but now they have both. They have one that's all genders and one that's only female, as well as StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm. They have one that's only female. That's going parallel with the open to all genders. So as they said earlier about the promoting the female players, they're having the female-only tournaments, but they also have the open to all gender tournaments going on at the same time.
See, and I can understand them having, just female-only tournaments because, they are definitely a minority in the gaming world. And, that's cool, but I don't want it to become an overall trend. This is a good way to do some promoting, but afterwards, you need to just mix and mingle. We're all gamers or all players and stuff like that. It needs to mix into one. That's why being part of a sports organization or a sports, like whatever they call,
To play devil's advocate, though, there was a controversy with like a Street Fighter tournament.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I know exactly what you're talking about.
The guy who
the
Who was videotaping the girl.
Yeah, and he was
like
like talking smack about the girl, and
right. And see, I was just about to bring that up.
So there are like
I'll go ahead and say it now. That guy can go burn in hell.
Yeah,
I hate him.
There are plenty of women who just don't feel comfortable in like these very bro environments. They don't feel comfortable with these guys that are very sexist and what are you doing playing with me? Make me a sandwich.
Yeah.
Like
that's
viewing it from that way, I can see the point of having female-only tournaments.
And then even just to pull that out. Oh, sorry, man, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go for it. You got an idea.
All right. See, this is what I was saying is like the female-only tournaments as far as promoting wise, but we can't do that to segregate that out there. You know what? A lot of people say that this kind of smack talk and stuff is that's just part of being a gamer. No, it's not. It's the voice of a coward. And if you do that kind of stuff, if you that's who you are, that's not us. That's not the gaming community. That's not what we have trying to establish outside of that sports range, outside of anything else like that. We're an all-inclusive brotherhood and sisterhood of people that have always taken in the people who were not accepted from society, who had a hard time growing up and stuff like that. Outside there, you weren't the awkward, goofy kid. You were a knight. You were a wizard. You were an awesome super soldier. You were somebody in these communities. So taking that whole smack talk and stuff, that guy from Cross Assault or whatever not, these people that objectify that they're being loud and obnoxious and stuff on this thing. It's just being a coward. That's all it is. It's just a cyberbullying because you think you can get away with it. Well, what you're doing is you're degrading the thing that you say that you like so much more. You're making it so that it doesn't become legitimate. It's not seen in the light as outside of this, it's just for children kind of thing. But once we can finally grasp together that this is a community where we can get together and work together to play competitive games and stuff like that, and not be afraid of running into this chauvinist sexism or this blatant bullying or this blatant racism that comes through games and stuff like that, we would be so much of a better society. I get that stuff from Call of Duty all the time. Saying that someone's going to, man, I can't even repeat most of the stuff on this show about what they come from, like 12-year-olds and stuff. Yeah. That's not us. That's
a whole volatile limb to the gaming body that needs to be just amputated.
Personally, like the whole smack talk thing, I only find it appropriate when it's with close friends.
Yeah.
Like if I'm with my buds and I'm like, oh man, you suck. Oh, you're such a noob.
That's fine. That's perfectly
that's
cool.
just fun. But like if I'm playing with somebody who I hardly know, I'm not gonna be like, oh man, you're such a loser for doing that. Like I'm not.
No, I'm gonna give them the utmost respect, and if they do something wrong that I can capitalize on, I'm gonna capitalize on it, and then tell them not to do that. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, don't do that. That's a bad trait to be doing. Don't be doing.
And like even then, like I don't always smack talk. Like every once in a while, I was like, that was fine.
Like quit mashing uppercut. I can punish that every time.
Yeah.
Quit mashing Hadoken. I can focus right through that.
It's just there's a lot of aspects to that and stuff. Even to the point where like I don't sometimes I'll have just like super killer games where I'm just like,
you're on top of the world.
I was on top of the world and stuff like that. what can I do? Can I sully my name and come out there and be like, yeah, look at me, I'm so good, or something like that? No, just GG. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Focus on playing the game.
All the
And
G's.
You'll notice too that the players that do all the smack talk and they pull out those obscenities and racism, all they are is starved for attention. Something so dumb happened in their life, or just something so messed up and not evolved in their life, that they just have to have some sort of ventilation system or some sort of outlet to vent their vile viewpoints and ways and stuff like that. And those are the people that I'm killing all day. Those are the noobs that camp and use the noob tubes and stuff like that. That players like me that just shut up and play, that just focus in on being the absolute best that I can. I'm mopping the floor with these people, and they usually never realize that. But you're still making this a harsh community, and that's where like outside forces that don't know very much about games, that don't know this culture, that don't know the good it can do, all they get to see is the negative stuff, and that's what they will do. They'll focus on the negative and bring all of us as a society down. People like to cross assault something that tries to justify what he said, which, I mean, if any of you guys saw the video, you should be outraged. I mean, I can understand a little chauvinism here and there. That does sound kind of awkward, but I'll play around. Like, some girls would be like, "Oh, you don't know what it's like to be," and I was like, "Well, if they're throwing it at me, I'll throw it back, and it's only with close friends."
It's all in play.
Like
it's all in good.
It's
all in good fun.
All in good fun, as long as the jokes are understood and stuff like that. But to genuinely do that,
that guy was straight up sexist.
To actually mean the words that are coming out of your mouth, that's a whole different playing field.
Yeah. To tell the truth, screw him. Really. I mean, he absolutely deserves the worst as far as like negative press and stuff. Look, I'm not going to wish death upon his whole family or anything like that, like most people do on the online communities. But really, dude, that is immature cowardice. Cowardice. That's all it is. It's like, oh well, you use it to upset your players so you can get the advantage. And it's like, no, if you were a good enough player, you wouldn't even have to open your mouth.
You wouldn't need the advantage.
You wouldn't need it. Yeah. You would focus on the game and you would win outright every time. If you have to open your big mouth to, upset somebody, and guess what? And it's the same thing with me. I get it all the time. You're muted. You're dead.
Yeah. And you know what? He was only doing it to the female player also.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was trash talking the other guys. He was all like, "Oh, look how hot she is. I bet she can't play at all." And just you can't have that dividing line between the male gamers and the female gamers. Like they said that they wanted to have the female-only tournaments, and then you followed that up by saying there's all of these gamers that are just vile, disgusting, sexist, chauvinistic punks. They're going to go to a female-only tournament and basically look at that like a buffet line. They're going to walk around catcalling, saying all kinds of nasty stuff to them, and that's because that's who they are, and they can get away with it because of the culture that we have fostered. And we need to change that. So all of you out there who are being mean to your female gamers,
that's not.
Don't do that.
None of my listeners would do that.
Don't do that. You're gonna die a virgin. Don't do that. No.
So let's move on.
Yes.
Because we're like 2 hours in.
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing it, man. It only felt like 10 minutes.
All right.
Have you talked about DreamHost? No.
DreamHost, their web service, offer unlimited storage.
I can't remember what DreamHost is. For some reason, I know you brought it up earlier, but it's just like it didn't stick. Can you run through that one more time?
I'm going to skip this next news article because I feel like we talked a lot, and I want to wrap things up. And this is not.
What was the article about? We'll give you a quick one.
Ouya.
Ouya?
Yeah.
Ouya.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Just
here's the section on Ouya. Don't buy it.
Here, you can see what it. Oh,
yay.
Yeah.
You can buy an Ouya.
Yeah. So
12-month pass to 800 games for $59.99.
So we're skipping that one. The next one I got. Okay. So EA can't they can't keep advertising Dungeon Keeper as free in the UK. British agency says. So the British Advertising Standards Authority, the ASA, Advertising Standards Authority, they rule it can't be advertised as free because of timed in-game events that prevent players from progressing without microtransactions. They say it's extremely unlikely that players would reach a point that they are. No, it's extremely likely that players would reach a point that they're unable to make meaningful progression in the game until the game timer had finished or been skipped. So basically, they're saying that the way how Dungeon Keeper is set up, I'm going to screen share it real quick. Like you can't, the players can't get further after a certain point without paying money. So they're saying, hey EA, you can't call it free anymore. You can't call it a free to play game.
Does that make Candy Crush no longer a free-to-play game?
I don't know. I never played Candy Crush.
Because you run out of lives and you can't make any more progress till you buy some more or bug your friends.
Yeah, it's to tell you the truth,
Kind of walks that fine line. Really carefully.
it's walking a fine line, but I can understand where they're coming from that, because really what it comes down to is you're just playing an extended demo when you can't progress or move along too much. There's some MOGAs out there that kind of work on the same thing. Is like you're not going to have access to higher champions or anything like that unless you put a little extra money in there, but you can finally eventually get to this kind of stuff. It's free to play is a little it's a service that can do wonders, but it's been used quite often for evil.
Yeah.
And
like the whole timer or energy system that only lets you play so much until a certain point. That's just shenanigans right there.
Well, there's
and I'm glad that EA's being called out on it. It's like, hey, dude, you can't call this free if you're only letting them play so much unless they pay money.
Yeah. Well, there's also a game like I can understand pulling up on my phone from Congregate called Tyrant Unleashed. It's like a card game, and that's the same thing as like to progress and do more missions and stuff. You have to so many news and stuff. I haven't played this in forever. I got a free card! Yay! Come on!
I want a free card.
I want free anything.
But,
Send me free things.
Let me go to
You can
missions.
sign up for DreamHost, get a free domain registration.
Oh, Staffa pulls it back.
Staffa pulls it back. But you get all these little like segments of places that you can actually actively go to, like these missions, and you would click on it, and then it would have an energy cost to do it, like resource cost, and you have yours up here at the top. So you have a limited number of like the missions you can do. And it recharges like I think it's like 1 per minute. So, but it's got a good base, whereas you're still going to be able to play quite a few rounds of the game itself, and especially on like a mobile platform like this, that's usually great. I can finish up a whole round of energy, collect some money, do some card business, because after that, you got to buy cards to upgrade your thing, and you can upgrade those cards, blah, 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 get into tournaments, battles, and stuff. And there's also, like, PvP battles that you fight against people that are close to your skill level, and they give you some just, like, base gold and kind of a rank up into your system. And you can usually do 5, and those recharge, like, every 2 minutes. So
I mean, that sounds like a much better system than you can't play for a day.
Yeah. Oh, you're out of energy. Can't play anymore today. You're like,
my energy can refill after like a full refill after I think 2 hours. So you got 2 hours of a full refill, and it's an hour, and you get half. And I mean, half you can still do a handful of missions even then. But really, it's that's a good way to be like, okay, I've got a good 45 minutes of play right here, playing the strategies, moving, getting cards ready, set up, and customizing your deck, and then playing other people and stuff. And, that's just, I've got a class in like half hour. I can just do that. Boom, click it off. It's off on my phone. And then 2 hours later,
Right
you
back
know, if
and
I've got the
get back
chance,
into
I can
it.
get back into it. Tyrant Unleashed. If any of you guys haven't played it or something, it's free to play from Congregate. One of the greatest like games.
I got to
come
go
out.
to Congregate.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. They had a 4-player Pac-Man arcade game.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is
Was
awesome.
it Pac-Man versus the Ghosts?
No, it's each other.
Oh, so it's 4 Pac-Man?
Yeah,
4 Pac-Man?
4 Pac-Man versus each other, and you try to get the power pellets, which will make you huge, and then you eat each other up.
Nice.
That's
And-
awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun, and I played against them, and I tied with the CEO. We tied first place. And
Nice.
Yes.
That's the way to get your name out there. I tied with the CEO at 4-player Pac-Man.
Yep.
It's just.
Yeah, exactly. It was the first time I played the game too. Like I saw the guys that are working at Congregate, they play all the time, so they have all these strategies and everything. I noticed what they were doing because they would like go up against the wall and like stay there, waiting for everyone to get close to them so that they can like snag the power pellet.
And then fly across
Yeah.
and eat everybody.
Yeah, like while the rest of us who were visiting them for the tour. That was our first time playing, and I was like, oh, I see what you're doing there. I'm going to do that strategy too.
Pretty sneaky, sis.
So let's move on.
Let's do it.
Last news article I got on here. I'm going to screen share this too. Boom. Screen share? No.
Is
no.
that the world is coming to an end
There we go. Screen share.
at the end of
Okay,
the day.
so
No.
Lindsay Lohan suing Rockstar over GTA 5 likeness. So last year I talked about this a little bit because it was a rumor, but yesterday it was confirmed. I was going to say confirmation and confirmed at the same time.
She looks so bad.
Yeah, she does, and this is like.
I think
Oh.
she's suing for likeness for what she used to look like in Mean Girls. Like, see that previous me? That's what you have like put in GTA 5.
So
and I'm not cool with
I
that.
never played GTA 5, so I don't know if
I don't GTA.
like if there is a character like her, it's probably just a satire, a parody character of like Hollywood.
You don't see Paris Hilton flipping
Hollywood
tables
girls
over
gone
Paris
wrong.
Hilton.
What I said last time when this was just a rumor is that I'm assuming that her lawyers or whoever pretty much told her, hey, look, GTA 5 made $1 billion in sales. You need some of that money.
And this character kind of looks like you, so maybe.
Yeah,
we
so
could
that's
do it.
what I'm assuming. That people were telling her, hey, look, they made money. You can get some of that. And now she's pursuing it. And I have issues with the Rockstar, because they have, bad work ethics and all that stuff, but I really hope they just steamroll her. Just get out of my face, girl.
It's like the same thing that Harmonix did with, what was it, Gwen Stefani? I think it was. No, it was Courtney Love.
Yeah.
Oh
Where
yeah,
they're like,
yeah.
you have Kurt Cobain singing songs that aren't Nirvana songs. They're like, shut up.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like
It's like, we paid for the likeness. We can do whatever we want with it.
shenaniganry.
Yeah. That's the unfortunate thing was always, I don't know, this is kind of a sidetrack, but like the a lot of like Led Zeppelin songs were owned by I can't remember who actually owned the rights to them and stuff like that, but that's why they were never on any of the like the rock bands or the Guitar Heroes, like Led Zeppelin songs, because just getting the rights to them were just so like wonky. And I was like, man, those would be some really awesome songs to jam out to.
Because Rock Band needed Stairway to Heaven. It really, really needed Stairway.
I was thinking more like, what's that song? I don't know. What I wanted them to do.
They did Cashmere too, didn't they? Was that Led
Yeah,
Zeppelin?
that was Cashmere. Cashmere would have been a great one too. Yeah.
Let's move on.
But but dude, a Mother 2 album package for Rock Band, I would have paid $30 for that because that would have been awesome. But unfortunately, never did.
All right,
Moving on.
moving on.
Move
Final
on.
segment, we got listener feedback. Last week, the main topic was on racism and sexism in games, both within games as representation of the characters as well as like in the industry.
Got a black guy in your party? He gonna die.
Yeah, it's that's a whole 5.
Yeah, that's a whole episode right
series,
there.
man. That's
So Kaylee writes in. This is her email. She,
Hi,
gave her 2 cents
Hi,
on everything.
Kaylee.
She writes, so, some commentary on the discussion about sexism in video games. I'm glad you brought up the character connection thing, because I talked about players connecting with the characters.
Mm-hmm.
She writes, personally, I have never had a problem connecting with a character since I'm controlling him or her, and that's all I need to feel like I am the character, but I think some people do have that issue. One example I've seen happen often is tough. Tough, heavy type characters seem to generally be male, while healing support types are female. My brother tends to play healing classes while his girlfriend plays heavy classes, which in most games means that he is a woman and while she is a bulky man. The gender doesn't stop them from choosing the characters, but I have had them complain about the lack of diversity in games. In cases where you can create your own character in classes, the 3 of us do tend to pick our respective genders. I also feel that game developers are trying to be more inclusive and break the white man stereotype, especially indie developers. It's refreshing to see woman characters that go beyond, oh look, boobs. As far as the topic of writers writing white males versus other races and genders, writers should be able to write any character regardless of what they look like. Book authors do this constantly and can create vivid male and female characters. It's much more important to create unique, interesting characters than it is to worry about if you're portraying a woman as a woman. I like the quote mentioned on the show. May have been trying to say this, but it's hard to tell without context. Sometimes I feel like sexism in games is a cop-out by the developers. They don't want to put in the extra bit of creativity or think that having scantily clad women will encourage more men to buy their games. I have recently played the game Killer is Dead. To get weapon upgrades and items, you have to woo women by giving them gifts and building up a love meter by staring at them. You even get X-ray glasses so you can stare at their lingerie. If you're successful, it ends with you hooking up with them and receiving some item. Even as I write this, I can't think of any real purpose to this except to entice a particular type of male gamer. All in all, I feel like sexism still is an issue in games as a whole, but it is improving as more developers and gamers become aware of it and discuss it. Thanks a lot, Kaylee, for writing in. Especially bringing in your perspective as a female on this discussion, since last week I only had males on the show, but we're of minority race, so I thought that we could talk about racism at that part. But the whole thing she said about Killer is Dead, staring at women to woo them, like either the Japanese culture is that much different from ours, or the developers of this game have never met a woman in their life.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, one, this is a Japanese game, and I'm not trying to say that it's okay just because it's a Japanese game, but if I'm mistaken, I'm pretty sure that Suda51 did Killer is Dead.
Yes,
And Suda51 is, if you played any of his other games, you know what to expect from a Suda51 game. They are not okay. They're not right. Everything in the game is like, what did you just do?
Yeah, it's granted, now there's a lot of those types of games. There's this game, I can't remember, it's called like Bullet Girl or School Bullet or something like that. I don't know, but it's all I know is that if I start watching an anime or playing a game and the first scene starts you off at like a Japanese like high school, you know, like
Lollipop Chainsaw? Is that what you're thinking?
No,
of?
not Lollipop Chainsaw.
That was a fun game.
Yeah, that
It was
pretty
an awful game, but it was
yeah.
fun.
But it was no Japanese style like Schoolhouse. If you've seen any animes or you know Japanese movies or stuff like that, you've noticed that. You already know that there's going to be some very very pervy scenes coming in. I mean, this is
That's
oh
part of
my
the
God, it was
Japanese
just,
culture.
Like, what?
But,
yeah,
like,
it's not okay.
Is it part of the Japanese culture to stare at women to woo them? That doesn't make any sense to
yeah,
me.
it's
Are
just-
you
it's-
familiar with the phrase, I wear these sunglasses so I can stare at you and no one can tell?
Not really, but is that like part of their culture to like?
No, they're like
Because like she's from what she says, like you are hooking up with the girls and you do it by staring at them, like
Yeah.
that. How's that hooking up?
It's
It's like, hey Cody.
well, I mean, I think she
not
means
wearing
a
your
little bit
X-ray
something
glasses.
different by you know.
that's where
hooking
the
up,
magic comes from.
But you know, it's a very very strange, like, you know, from a Western to Eastern culture, you know, difference like that, and
We both cultures objectify women.
Oh,
We just do it
absolutely.
differently.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you play Western RPGs, like scantily clad women in full combat uniforms, and you're like, that's functionally useless. You're not covering anything,
Yeah.
but you still have like the highest armor
Well,
value in the game.
even armor that fully covers a female, but it has like the boobs.
Yeah, like the whole cleavage area is exposed. Like you know where the heart is,
like,
right?
Like the shape of boobs on the armor, like in Skyrim, like that itself would not work in real life because like as soon as like you thrust them or like they fall like forward or anything, you know, if anything hits that, you know, that's gonna break their collarbone.
It's gonna
and-
break their boob.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the center
yeah,
part.
the
It's a sternum.
inside divot
Yeah.
thing that's in there right there.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would
That would
rush
break,
right
that would
into
break
your
their.
sternum.
You're
their
also putting
sternum,
a bit too much realism into a video game, also. Which again, that's one of the things I really like about WildStar. When you play, I play female characters in my MMOs, like
Mhm.
straight up front. I don't care who knows. I play almost exclusively female characters.
Mhm.
The reason being, their animations are almost always better than the males. This was true for just about any MMO I've ever played, especially in WoW. I played females for every one of the races because they didn't look stupid when they did it. But in WildStar, my character's armor covers her entire body, no matter what I'm wearing. It covers everything like you would expect clothing to cover. So, I don't know. I really like that about the game. But yeah, we both objectify women in different ways, and it shouldn't be that way. And we're trying to actively change it. But the more game developers that stick on that idea of, oh, scantily clad women sell games, look over there. You guys can't see this off camera, but there is a poster right over there that has a character drawn by one of the students.
Yeah.
That's just, oh,
a female
look at my
student.
body. Yeah, a female student. So she actively knows what she's doing as she's doing it.
Yeah. That's pretty much how all their characters look like too.
So this problem isn't going to fix itself until both sides of the fence try to fix it. Because you can't just have all of the guys.
Yeah, and the dude standing next to her is completely covered
Yeah,
up.
completely covered. He's showing a little bit of arm right here.
Yeah.
And it's not even like huge, grotesque
Yeah.
Gears of War arm.
Yeah, he's just showing some bicep, and her on the other hand, she has like.
She's got some thigh-high boots on, a thong, and a bra,
yeah,
essentially, boiled down.
pretty much.
And yet she's supposed to stand toe-to-toe with him on the battlefield. That's where my suspension of disbelief gets shattered. When I turn to the side and I see like the female companions that are supposed to be fighting alongside, and I'm like, go home and put something on. We're about to kill things. We have a dragon to fight, and you're out here in a string bikini. That ain't gonna work.
This Nareda character, originally she was wearing a lot less, and Matt was like, "That's too sexy. Make her cover more." He was like, "This is supposed to be a kid's game."
This is a kid's game.
Yeah, he was like, she was like, "That's not sexy." He was like, "Yes, that is.
Yeah.
Cover her up."
Man, and it comes down to not only just like clothing wise as well, and its personalities through like the characters and stuff. Like I can't remember the test that it is. That there's a test to see if a game or a movie. It actually started with movies to have like dominant, strong female roles, and basically the test is that you have more than one woman, both of them talking to each other about something more important than a man,
Mm-hmm.
than a love interest or something like that. Surprisingly, a lot of movies and a lot of games don't do that. And that's I can't remember the name of the test. It started like in the, I want to say 50s, early 60s, somewhere around there when film started to blow up a lot more. And
Which is sad that it's been 50 years and we still haven't fixed this.
yeah, I mean, granted, even though that we're a powerhouse as far as gaming wise is still, we haven't been a powerhouse for very long.
Mhm. Well, that's just
stating on the same
technology.
thing as I mean, our technology's there, but our companies are still kind of, whoa, what's going on? Games blew up in the past 20 years.
Yeah.
So we really need to start pushing for smarter, better built games. We need to stop pandering. We need to, and we really need to put our voice into there. These are not the type of games we want. These are the type of games we want. Get rid of this. Do this. Actively being part of the listenership, and so that we can start being taken seriously a lot more, because this is an art form. It is.
Mhm.
I mean, you can't sit there and tell me that this isn't an art form. It's
Who was it that said that it wasn't? Was it Roper?
well, there's a lot of arguments on both sides as far as that.
Yeah, but there was someone like way up at the top of the entertainment industry who's just flat out said games are not art and I can never consider them that. And I'm like, you are wrong on so many levels.
Ebert?
Was it Ebert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then, like, he eventually changed. Like, he eventually said, "Okay, you guys convinced me."
Okay.
Like
good.
later on,
Because
that was before he died.
you can't
He
argue
said on his
that it's not.
deathbed.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
one
right.
of those. Maybe this will get me into heaven.
No, I don't think he was able to talk yet because he didn't have a lower jaw.
Oh, you wrote it down.
But yeah.
Like, one thing Kaylee mentions in her email is about writers should be able to write any character well. What I was saying last week about how I was saying that it's difficult for a lot of people to write a character that's different from themselves.
Mhm.
I wasn't saying that it's impossible. I'm saying that a lot of people are not writers, and that not every studio has a dedicated person being a writer for their games. Like, writers for games is a relatively new thing, and it's only for very large studios. Like
With big games that have big stories.
yeah, like Gearbox is one of the few studios that has a writer, a
Mhm.
dedicated writer. BioWare has dedicated writers. So, and you also got to keep in mind that for the longest time, games were made purely by programmers, and we're just starting to get to the point where we have different people doing different roles. Like, you have
You
artists.
just have to have a team of
and,
people working
yeah,
together.
You have artists, you have audio people, game designers, programmers, and writers is still a thing that's still not quite the norm yet, but
Mhm.
we're getting there. And people who aren't writers, like what I was saying last week, is that it's hard for people to write characters that are outside of themselves. Like me, I'm not a writer. I can't write a gay character, and like other than the fact of like, okay, I'm gonna make this character have these qualities, and on the side he's gay. I can't make any significant reason for him to be gay other than the fact that this
There is no
character's
reason
gay.
he was born gay. Come on.
But see,
I will say that I don't do a whole lot of writing. That's not really my forte. I do more the game design side of it. But when you come up with the basic story for what you're going to use to push your design forward. Whenever I write a character, I almost always write them as a completely neutral character. They don't have a gender, they don't have a sexuality, they don't have really any temperaments behind them until I give them to them for the purpose of the story. Like one of the ones I've been working on, I talked to Cody about this, is called the Red Delta, where you play as a female character born in a very high-class family who is just an evil person to a whole bunch of people. And those are all traits that are absent in me. I'm not a female. I have not been born into a high-class family. I'm a relatively nice guy for the most part. She does some truly sadistic, evil, hell-worthy things. So I think that the skill of being a writer needs to come from more. You have a collection of general experiences that you pull from and try to sew together to create your story, and you only put those things, like I said, like gender and sexuality, into it once they either have to be put there or you need them to move the story forward.
Yeah, because see, really when it comes down to a gender, sexuality, those things, those don't define us as human beings. You know, that's just making stereotypes, that's making tropes of human beings and stuff like that, because it's through our experiences and through, you know, the communities that we live in and how we've been brought up in our last, you know, 20 some odd years of life, or however old our characters are, is going to define them as a human being. So, you know,
not even necessarily a human being. It's going to define them as a person, an individual, because Liara wasn't a human, and you still had plenty of weight behind all of her decisions. Everything she did had a purpose.
Like, when we worked together during Return of Etheria, and you saw the way how I wrote story elements down, like,
you wanted bullet points.
Yeah,
like, this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens.
I basically was like, okay, these are some things. You know, these are things that happened. These are some traits. Go ahead and do all the details for me, because I as far as like all these little details, I'm not really good at that. You know, that's not something I'm going to pretend I'm good at. So like I did what I can do, and that's like just list off some bullet points, and then I was like, okay, flesh this out even better, you know.
That
was
a challenge too. Oh man, the last couple months were fun, everybody.
And you know, I mean, like, what I'm going with this is that not everybody's a writer.
Not everybody is a writer.
Not everybody can make very fleshed out. You know, not everybody can do the level of characters as The Last of Us. You know, that's what they did was amazing. That was, you know, they made like the most human characters ever, and that's just amazing. But I mean, that's all I got.
One point that I do want to make, and I said this
throughout
the entire Return of Etheria build, was if you're a writer, there's a 99% chance you are not an artist. If you are an artist, there's a 99% chance you are also not a writer. If you try and do both of these things without being 100% confident in both of these areas, one of them is going to be awful, and you are going to pay for it.
Speaking of which, like comic books, there's always, like, good comic books always has a different person as the writer and the artist. There are artists who try to do everything themselves, and those comics usually have really good art, but like are just really boring, or you know, have nothing else going for them other than it has good art. So,
and some of them have like fantastic stories, but you can't read the thing because it's like, did a 4-year-old draw this? What's going on?
Teamwork. You know, when you get a team of talented people together, you can get some awesome things put together.
Or play Drunk Mario Kart.
Yes. And as a final note, I want to say my favorite quote as of late from the great George R.R. Martin.
Kill everyone.
Kill everyone that you love. No. He was asked why he has so many strong female characters in his stories, and all he said was, you know, it's funny. I tend to think of women as people. And that's really all it boils down to. If you are trying to write a character to be specifically female, you're doing it wrong.
So, thank you for writing in, Kaylee.
Way to go.
You did good.
Let's wrap this up
Like a burrito.
like a burrito. So,
I'm hungry now.
I'm fasting.
Oh, that's right. Is it Roman?
Yes.
Till tomorrow.
Oh wow.
Till tomorrow.
Isn't it tomorrow?
No, it's
No, it's-
for.
It's a month long.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
I thought you said it was ending tomorrow.
No, it's not
Oh.
ending tomorrow. It's a month long.
It just started today. He wish it
Oh,
was
is it?
probably.
No,
ending
it
tomorrow.
started Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah.
So, anyways, let's wrap this up.
Hey,
I
are we
want-
still doing barbecue chicken?
Oh man, let's just describe foods real quick.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck on
Uh,
your fast.
I want to give a shout out to Nathan Becker as usual, also known as Ectogemia, Ectogemia. He did the intro song, which you heard if you downloaded this as an MP3 on outofconfused.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you totally yeah you totally you did see Cody point, but you aren't listening to the music. Also, he did the outro music that I'm inserting at the end of this, which is from the soundtrack for Beware the Bully. So, because I paid a lot of money for that music, so I'm going to use it as much as possible. I'm going to put it in as many of these
Everything.
podcasts. Yes.
Your business card should play it when you click the little icon.
Do you guys have any plugs or shout-outs?
Not yet, but I will say that there are some projects that are brewing right now that might get some exposure on Out of Continues once
Mhm.
they come to a head a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, I don't have anything to.
Yeah. So look
Advertise.
out for something from Adrian and myself because we've got a lot of ideas cooking.
We might even give you the first shot to interview us as we're showing off the project.
Awesome.
Indeed.
Awesome. If you enjoy what you've been hearing, support us by liking us on Facebook, following us on Twitter. Share those also.
Share 'em.
Leave an iTunes review. You can also contact by email podcast@outofcontinues.com, just like Kaylee just did today.
Way to go, Kaylee.
All
Really
these,
setting the standard.
yeah, all these can be found on the website www.outofcontinues.com. The YouTube is youtube.com/outofcontinues. If you want to see the podcast in visual and full.
Who doesn't want to
Video.
see these three sexy beasts? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, it comes up earlier, because it's up today rather than Monday.
Yeah.
So that's also a benefit of watching on YouTube. But MP3, you can listen to it while you drive.
And
Whatever.
fall asleep? What? No.
No. Come on now. You can also give me a tweet. I'm at Sayed Stafa. That's SAYEDSTAFA. Badam. Do you guys want to plug your Twitters?
I don't have a Twitter.
I don't have a Twitter, but I got a Facebook.
So you want them to be your friend on Facebook?
Come
Be
Be
my
my
friend on
friend.
Facebook, please.
I would like to thank my guest
I'll
host
send
for
pictures
joining
of
me.
my cats. Oh, Kid
thank-
Koki on Instagram.
Thanks,
More
Adrian.
pictures of my cat.
Anytime, Safa. I'll swing by and do another one of these.
Awesome. Thanks, Cody.
You're welcome.
Thanks for getting this set up. I mean, we didn't end up in the audio room, but we got a room.
We got a room, and
We got
it's
a room.
nice. It's cool.
Yep,
It's
we're by
kind of roomy.
ourselves. Yeah.
Big. Sounds good.
We had a guest walk in earlier. Shout
Yeah,
out to April. April,
Shout out to
shouts to April.
Hey.
walking in.
April, if
earlier.
you're watching this, that's kind of weird because you're going to see yourself earlier.
She doesn't even. I don't think she even knows what the URL
Are
is.
you a
for this.
time wizard?
No.
Are you a Time Lord?
With that said, I'm your host, Stafa. Peace out, everybody.
Beast out.
What are you pointing at?
The man with the heart.
Oh, okay.
With the